What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Playmakers Corner podcast. I am your host for today, Simon Villanos, aka Coach V, and we got another great week of women's flag football on the NAIA level coming to you here. A lot of games. I think there was almost a game every day of this last week, and that would be February 20th to the 24th there. So a whole bunch of games to recap. A lot of games. I think by this point, almost all the teams have played. Yeah, I want to say almost all the teams have played in the country that do have a program except one or two here. So got to see the debut of a lot of great teams. Got to see a lot of new faces make some big plays as well, which I think is always big time. But on this episode, myself, Kodey, and Gino are going to go ahead and recap a handful of games. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, now let's go ahead and start off by talking about the Baker versus Ottawa game here. The first game here in week 2 played on February 20th. Previous to this game, Baker with their first win in program history over the University of St. Mary the week before. This would actually be Ottawa's first game here of their season, coming off their third national championship in as many years from last season. Ottawa obviously ranked at 1 and Baker at 13 after week 1, that is, going into this game. And so let's go ahead and hop into it here. To start out, Baker starts with the ball here, but they are not able to get anything going here. A dropped pass as well as a quick check down gets them into a 4th and 1 situation, and they decide not to risk it, so they punt it. Ottawa takes over, though, on the 36 past midfield here, so not too far of a punt. And there's about 9:40 left here in the quarter, but to start out, Madison Carrera throws the swing route to Mandolin Scalisi, which goes for about 1. So now it's 2nd and 15. And on 2nd down, Carrera scrambles for about 6 more, setting up a 3rd and 9. On 3rd down, Carrera rolls right and throws it to one of her wide receivers, Bailey Hodgins. But she is under a lot of pressure here, and so it's overthrown. And so that brings up 4th and 9 here, where on 4th and 9, Carrera rolls left and finds Jaslyn Camacho near the sideline, who then breaks free, making a defender miss and scores on a 29-yard touchdown to make it 6-0. On the extra point, Madison Carrera throws it to Bailey Hodgins on the PAT to make it 7-0, just like that. Following that, Baker would take over without 7:39 left. Let's fast forward to 2nd and 11 here. Their quarterback, Sanaya Waller, throws it over the middle, but this one is read, and the route is jumped by the standout all-PMC linebacker, Abby Brown, who gets her first interception of the year and returns it pretty close to the red zone, but not quite in there. And so it's 1st and 3 on the edge of the red zone with about 5:50 left. Here's what happens on 1st down. Carrera scrambles left, and she goes ahead and almost gets the 1st down. It's now 2nd and inches, but it doesn't matter, as on 2nd down, Carrera drops back and goes deep down the left sideline and finds the freshman, Marley Spielberg, who head tops the defender on a huge, just about 20-yard touchdown to give him the 13-0 lead. A good ball here, and an even better play by the receiver and Marley Spielberg to just go get it. And so there you go there. Ottawa takes a 13-0 lead. On the extra point, they go for 1, and Carrera throws the out to Alyssa Linkus, who gives them the 14-0 lead. Ottawa off to a fast start here. Now, Baker, they take over, and they're trying to get something going. It starts promising as Sanaya Waller scrambles left for about 4, setting up a 2nd and 1. And on that 2nd and 1, Waller throws the corner route, but this route, it's just late. It was open for a minute, but it's late. And so Jukani Washington easily picks that off and returns it a pretty solid amount here, but unfortunately a penalty is thrown on Ottawa, and so that'll push them out of the red zone. And so now it's 1st and 9 here, past midfield still though, but on the edge of that red zone, not quite in there with about 3:58 left. Now on first down, Carrera shovels it forward to Bailey Hodgins, who then pitches it right on what looks like to be a modified triple option here to Mandolin Scalisi, who gets the first down, putting them in the red zone. It's about 1st and 15. After a quick out to Bailey Hodgins, that sets up a 2nd and 11 here, where Carrera scrambles left and basically tightropes it down the sideline here. I thought she maybe might have stepped out here, but she gets down the sideline and runs it in for a huge touchdown to give them the early 20-0 lead here in the first quarter. And on the PAT, Carrera evades left and rifles one to the back of the end zone to the new addition, Cynthia Holmes, to give them the PAT, the extra point, putting them up 21-0. There's still 2:37 left here in this first quarter, and at this point, Baker, they got to get something going. And so here's what happens. Sanaya Waller, their quarterback, scrambles left, gets a solid gain, setting up 2nd and 1. And on that 2nd down, Waller goes right up the seam and finds Faith Phillips for a huge 30-plus yard gain past midfield. A little bit of a breakdown in the defense and just a good throw and catch here from Waller to Phillips here. So that's big time. That sets up a 1st down and 9 here. They go ahead and throw the swing route to Kayla Harrison. She gets about 7 or so. So now it's 2nd and 3. On 2nd down, Gabriela Zabaleta gets the snap and then throws the swing route here to Sanaya Waller, another quarterback, who then throws it over the middle to Destiny Martinez, who sits between 2 zones and gets them the 1st down, putting them in the red zone. So now it's 1st and 11 in the red zone, but by then the time runs out in the first quarter, so that's where we pick up in the second quarter. Baker, 1st and 11 in the red zone, but it does not go well as Waller is immediately sacked by Dejanise Paris, for a loss of 6. So now it's 2nd and 17. On 2nd down, Waller is forced to scramble again. Gets about 6, but it's 3rd and 11. Once more on 3rd down, Waller feels the pressure, but this time evades it, and then throws it to the flats to Martinez, but this is dropped. So that sets up 4th and 11, and on 4th down, it's snapped to Waller, and she throws left and tries to thread the needle, but it is just not a great decision here as Haley McKay makes her pay and gets an interception, Waller's 3rd of the day here. And so Ottawa, they take over about on the 14 with about 9-10 left here. On 1st down, Carrera rolls right and throws it deep down the right sideline and finds Jocelyn Camacho, who makes the catch and almost scores, but is eventually tracked down, but not before gaining about a huge gain here of 35 yards. That puts them past midfield. It's 1st and 1 here, though, and on 1st and 1, Carrera throws the curl to Maya Quinn, who gets another nice gain of about 10 or so, and so now they're in the red zone just like that, 1st and 9. After a drop, it's still 2nd and 9 here in the red zone. Baker does take their first time out here at 7:15 before that, but following that, Carrera then is forced to scramble right and then lofts one to the back of the end zone where Cynthia Holmes makes a beautiful catch, toe tapping this in to make it 27-0, and then on the extra point, Carrera scrambles left, gets the PAT, putting them up 28-0 with 7:08 left in this game. And just like that, this game is over here as Baker is not able to recover. The final score of this game, Ottawa 53, Baker 6. A tough go for Baker here. A player of this game, it's pretty obvious. It's Madison Carrera, 21 of 26 for 245 passing yards and 7 touchdowns. Also, another 30 rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. So 8 total touchdowns for Madison Carrera in this one here. She was able to connect with a number of different receivers here. Jocelyn Camacho, Marley Spielberg, Mandolin Scalisi. She had 2. Alyssa Linkus had 1. Cynthia Holmes and then Jada Bayron, I believe, would get a touchdown here at the end of this game, or the second half of this game here. Defensively, they were really good. 4 different players had interceptions, including Jacani Washington, Abby Brown, Haley McKay, as well as DJ Paris, who also had a sack as well, along with 6 tackles to go. Their lead tackler was Alyssa Gillespie here with 7. For Baker, a real tough go here, but, they are playing the defending national champs, and, Baker, they're in their second ever game, so that's just kind of a tough deal there. But NAIA Waller, 23 of 35, 154 passing yards, 1 touchdown to 4 picks here. Gabriela Zabaleta with 5 of 6 passing for only 19 yards. NAIA Waller would add on another 38 rushing yards though, which was big time. And then their lead receiver was Faith Phillips, 3 receptions for 45 yards. That long of 33 did the majority of that damage, though. Their lead receiver, though, was Janai Ferdinand with 8 receptions for 26 yards. And then their 1 touchdown went to Jalen Harris, who had 2 receptions for 19 yards. And then on defense, Baker, no turnovers, no sacks, just really struggled in that sense. So there you go there. Reactions to this game, I think it went kind of how I expected it to. Ottawa, they look great. They looked extremely sharp here. Baker's still trying to figure some things out. And unfortunately, they pulled Ottawa, the defending national champs here. So there you go there. Not too much more to say. Like I said, it went just about how I expected it to here in the second game of the season for Baker. And Ottawa gaining their first win of the season in this 2024 campaign.
What is going on, everybody? Gino here with the Playmakers Corner podcast, and I am very excited to bring you all a recap of an instant classic between the number 10 in our podcast power rankings, the Cottey Comets, hosting the number 16 in our power rankings, the Southwestern Mound Builders. This is the first game of the year for both teams and the first game in program history for the Mound Builders. This one had a ton of fireworks in it, so let's not waste any more time and get right into this recap. Starting off here in the first quarter, Southwestern will start with the ball here with Miranda Dooley in at QB, the freshman. She runs the option left for 4 yards to make it 2nd and 2, followed by an incomplete pass, 3rd and 2 now. Dooley then scrambles left for a good gain for about 18 yards. 1st and 5 here near midfield. Option right for Dooley. She pitches it to Carla Lopes, but she is stopped by Shamiz Lee for no gain. 2nd and 5 here. Miranda Dooley stands strong and launches one deep down the right sideline to Viviana Solis, who scorches the DB for a big 20-plus yard play to put them in the red zone. Tag on a holding penalty on Cottey, and it is now 1st and 4 in the red zone for the Mound Builders. Dooley scrambles right, making a defender miss, and walks it in for the first ever touchdown in Southwestern College history. They go up 6-0 here with 7:36 left in the first quarter. And the PAT is good, so Dooley finds Solis, who gets in between the zones for the extra point to put them up 7-0. It's Cottey ball now as they take over with 7 minutes left. It is a handoff to Tamia Squire for 4 yards. With Amaya Karula at QB, she rolls right and finds Squire in the flat for a first down. 1st and 18 here. Karula checks it down to Kenzie Murdoch for 4 yards. On 2nd and 15, Karula throws the curl, which looks like it was stolen from its intended target, but Squire takes it about 20 yards past midfield for a big gain here. A penalty would be tagged on, and so Cottey would start with it 1st and 6 in this situation. An offsides penalty called on Southwestern would give them another 5 to make it 1st and 1. On 1st and 1 here, Karula under pressure throws it away to make it 2nd and 1 here. On 2nd and 1, a quick hitch to Carrie Cloyd puts them in the red zone on a nice 5 or 6 yard gain. 1st and 13 here in the red zone, Karula threads the needle on a skinny post to Shamiz Lee. After a 2nd and 3 incompletion, Karula rolls right and finds Squire on the out to make it 7-6. And then Karula throws the PAT to Tolentino, and that ties it 7-7 here with 2:59 remaining in the first quarter. It's Southwestern ball here with 2:59 left in the first. A short crosser to Viviana Solis near the first down, and then a QB keeper up the middle makes it 1st and 20. A drop pass and then another incomplete pass with pressure from Sammy Labosco makes it 3rd and 20. And that incomplete pass would take us to the end of the first quarter. We are all tied up here 7-7. Starting off the second quarter here on fourth down, Cottey gets some good pressure here again on Dooley to force a check down pass to Viviana Solis, and Solis' flag is pulled behind the line of scrimmage as Southwestern ends up punting here on this drive. A misread on the punt puts Cottey down near the goal line to make it 1st and 8. Karula starts this drive off with a keeper for 5 yards and followed that up with an awesome pass to Shamiz Lee along the sideline to make it 1st and 4 near midfield. From there, it was a QB keeper for no gain, a check down pass to Lee for no gain, and then a dropped pass to make it 4th and 4, still near midfield here. The Comets go for it here on fourth down with a QB sneak up the middle, but Karula's flag gets pulled short of the first down to make it a turnover on downs near midfield. Southwestern ball here, 1st and 17 to start their drive. They start off with a pitch play that goes for about 6-ish yards, and then a false start on the next play makes it 2nd and 15. Miranda Dooley makes a big play here on 2nd and long as she hits Viviana Solis along the sideline for a big gain, and it is now 1st and 20 for Southwestern. Dooley and Solis connect again here on the next play on a drag route for 4 yards. On 2nd down, Dooley scrambled to avoid a sack as she gets about 5 yards here to make it 3rd and 11. Southwestern calls timeout after that scramble with 4:54 remaining in the first half. On 3rd down following the timeout, Dooley tried to hit a receiver in the back of the end zone, but that ball is just a bit overthrown. Dooley tried to scramble for a touchdown on 4th down, but her flag is pulled to force a turnover on downs. It is Cottey ball now, 1st and 11 to start their drive. A short pass is complete for no gain to start the drive, and then an incomplete pass makes it 3rd and 11. Karula hit Kenzie Murdoch over the middle to make it 4th and 4 as the Comets prepare to go for it here on 4th and short. On 4th down, Karula rolls to her right and makes a ridiculous throw to Angelina Cruz, and Cruz breaks loose and takes that one all the way for a Cottey Comets touchdown to put them up 13-7 with just under 2 minutes remaining in the first half. The conversion is no good, so the score remains 13-7 after that long touchdown for the Comets. Southwestern had nothing going for them on the next drive as they go 3 and out. Cottey takes over near midfield with exactly a minute remaining, and it is 1st and 3 to start their drive. A check down pass is underthrown and incomplete as Cottey calls timeout here with 57 seconds left in the first half. Karula found a receiver along the sideline, but their foot was out of bounds, so it is 3rd and 3 here. Karula settled in here though, and she found Kenzie Murdoch to make it 1st and 15 for the Comets. On the next play, it is a design QB run as Karula avoids multiple flag pulls and breaks free for a massive run as she runs out of bounds at the 1-yard line with 35 seconds left in the half. She definitely could have scored on that play, but she ran out of bounds to possibly try and take some more time off the clock. Cottey calls timeout following that huge play from Karula. On the next play following the timeout, it is Amaya Karula yet again as she keeps it and reaches across for a Cottey Comets touchdown. Cottey leads now 19-7 following a failed conversion attempt with just 33 seconds left in the first half. Southwestern takes over now with not much time to score. Miranda Dooley started the drive off hot with a beautiful throw between two defenders near midfield to make it 1st and 8. Following that great play, though, it was 2 incompletions and a drag route for 3 yards. And that would take us to the end of the first half. At halftime here, Cottey leads Southwestern 19-7. It's Cottey ball here to start the second half. Tegan Smith of Southwestern got some good pressure and swats down a Karula pass to make it 2nd and 6. The Cottey Comets run a quad formation as Karula finds Suzanne Aubert to make it 1st and 19. Karula rolled to her right and found a crossing to Mia Squire for a nice gain to make it 2nd and 4 near midfield here. After a couple of incomplete passes with Tegan Smith continuing to apply pressure, that makes it 4th and 4 for the Cottey Comets as they prepare to go for it. Unfortunately, though, for Cottey, they are forced to punt here after an offsides penalty puts them back 5 yards. It is 1st and 7 now for Southwestern with about 7:50 remaining in the third quarter. Dooley hands it off to Viviana Solis on a read option, and that makes it 2nd and 1. And then a QB sneak from Dooley makes it 1st and 19 as the Mound Builders cross midfield. Dooley found Carla Lopes on a check down, but her flag is pulled by Chanel Norris for a loss of 1 to make it 2nd and 20. Another check down pass on the next play, this time to Davina Little, and she takes that one for a nice gain. Plus you throw in a hold on Cottey, and that gives the Mound Builders a 1st down and 19. A drop pass and a scramble from Dooley following the hold makes it 3rd and 15 for the Mound Builders as they call their first timeout of the half here with 4:55 remaining in the third quarter. The Mound Builders went into their bag here after the timeout as they run a triple reverse as Dooley finds Tegan Smith along the sideline for a tough throw and catch to make it 4th and 4 with a great opportunity to score here. And they would take full advantage of that big gain here as Dooley hits Davina Little in the end zone for a Mound Builders touchdown. It is now 19-13 with 4:02 remaining as the conversion was no good. We got ourselves a game, folks. Cottey Comets ball here now, 1st and 6. We got some fireworks to start off this drive here as a Karula pass is nearly picked off, but it is somehow caught by Angelina Cruz, and she takes that for a huge gain across midfield to the Southwestern 30-yard line. The Comets were not done there, though, as Amaya Karula hits Tamia Squire on a check down, and Squire avoids multiple flag pulls and takes that one all the way for a Cottey touchdown to put them up 25-13 with 2:50 remaining in the third quarter. The conversion was no good, so the score remains 25-13. 1st and 6 here for the Southwestern Mound Builders as they prepare to answer. A pass to Tegan Smith makes it 2nd and 2, and then a beautiful pass to Viviana Solis over the middle gives the Mound Builders a 1st down in Cottey territory across midfield. 1st and 17 here as Dooley scrambles for a solid gain to make it 2nd and 11. Following the scramble, a slant to Aaliyah Hansen makes it 3rd and 3, and then a great pass to Davina Little as a defender soars past gives the Mound Builders a 1st and 15. And that play takes us to the end of the third quarter. Cottey still leads here 25-13 heading into the final quarter of the game. Let's see how this one ends. A slant to Solis for 6 yards to start the fourth quarter makes it 2nd and 9. And then a scramble from Dooley makes it 3rd and 1 to give the Mound Builders a big opportunity to score here. And they would waste no time here as Dooley hits none other than Viviana Solis in the end zone for a Southwestern touchdown. Those two have been on absolute fire this entire game. It is now 25-19 following a failed conversion attempt with 10:57 remaining in the ball game. Southwestern calls timeout before Cottey starts the drive as they prepare to discuss how to slow down this Cottey offense. It is 1st and 6 for the Comets nonetheless. Karula hit a receiver under pressure to make it 2nd and 2. The Mound Builders now sending 2 rushers to start off the fourth quarter, an aggressive change to their approach compared to all of the previous drives. Karula is under pressure again on the next play from 2 rushers as she throws a dangerous ball into coverage, but it is somehow caught to give the Comets a 1st down and 17. A sack, a delay of game, and an incomplete pass makes it 3rd and 28 for the Comets. A sure sack on 3rd down turns into a 10-yard holding penalty, though, to make it 3rd and 18 now. But a pitch play on the next snap gets shut down to force the Comets to punt. The Mound Builders sending 2 rushers appears to be a problem for Amaya Karula and the Cottey offense. The punt and return makes it 1st and 13 for the Mound Builders in their own territory. The 1st down pass is nearly picked, but a triple option to Mallory Lund on the next play makes it 3rd and 1 here near midfield. That sets up a Dooley run up the middle to give Southwestern 1st and 16 into Cottey territory. They run yet another QB run on the next play for 2 yards, but they followed that up big time as Dooley finds Davina Little over the middle, and Little somehow avoids several flag pulls and takes it all the way for a Mound Builders touchdown. That clutch touchdown from Dooley and Little ties the game up at 25 apiece with 5:30 left in the game. 1st and 6 here for Cottey as they try and take back their lead. A first down pass from Karula is batted down by Tano Weckworth, and then back-to-back holding plays on Cottey makes it 1st and 22. Karula hit Shamiz Lee for 4 yards, and then a pass to Tamia Squire on the next play makes it 3rd and 16. A scramble from Karula on 3rd down makes it 4th and 11. The Comets call timeout following that play to avoid a delay of game, even though they were going to punt anyway, with 2:17 left in the game. It's Southwestern ball at their own 35 following a nice punt from Cottey with 2:08 left in the game as they try to get their first lead since their first drive of the game. A handoff to Viviana Solis for 4 yards makes it 2nd and 1, and that sets up the unstoppable Dooley run up the middle to make it 1st and 18 for the Mound Builders. Dooley continues to be clutch here as she makes a gorgeous pass over the middle to her favorite target, Viviana Solis, as Solis makes the grab and gives Southwestern a huge first down. On 1st and 16, another pass over the middle makes it 2nd and 10. On 2nd down with under a minute to go, Miranda Dooley and Viviana Solis connect again for a Mound Builder touchdown. And folks, that might be the dagger. This duo is looking absolutely unstoppable in this second half. Southwestern nails the conversion to give them a 32-25 lead with just 44 seconds left in the game. Cottey has a chance to answer here with under a minute to go. 1st and 6. The first down pass from Karula is dropped, and then a big-time sack from Tegan Smith makes it 3rd and 13 with the clock still ticking. With the game on the line, Karula takes the snap, she scrambles, and she is tracked down by Tegan Smith, and that flag pull would wrap this game up. Southwestern wins this absolute classic as they overcome a 2-touchdown deficit at halftime to take down the number 10 in our power rankings, Cottey Comets, for their first win in program history. What an absolute thriller that game was. Simon and I were on the edge of our seats watching this game as the Southwestern Mound Builders get their first win in program history in classic fashion. Miranda Dooley is your PMC player of the game as she ended with 5 touchdowns, including 4 in the second half to get them this win. The freshman QB shined in her first career game and is now a clear candidate for our Freshman of the Year award. Her confidence and composure in the second half was awesome to see, and her pure chemistry with Viviana Solis was truly the catalyst for the Mound Builders. Speaking of Solis, she finished with 3 touchdowns in this one, including 2 in the fourth quarter. Amazing game from the sophomore receiver. Another receiver that made a lot of noise was Davina Little, who finished with 2 touchdowns and was an extremely reliable target for Dooley and this Mound Builders offense. Tegan Smith was another big contributor, making noise on both sides of the ball, and was a big threat as a rusher and receiver, especially as a rusher in the fourth quarter. The coaching staff's choice to switch to 2 rushers in the fourth quarter was an expert choice and is definitely why Cottey had a hard time moving the ball there in the fourth quarter. Southwestern should be a team that everyone should be looking out for in the weeks to come. Congrats to them on a terrific first win in program history. As for the Cottey Comets, they had real control of this game in the first half. They just got picked apart in the second half in their secondary with multiple missed flag pulls on big touchdowns from Southwestern. I think Amaya Karula is a great athlete, but it became clear that she is going to struggle against multiple rushers with her height and the lack of a clear number 1 receiver. They should still be a threat in the KCAC, but this game will definitely have them slide a bit in the podcast power rankings as other teams have been shining early on this season. With that outro of this classic game out of the way, I will catch you all later on in the episode where I will be recapping some Sun Conference action between Life University and Point University. Peace out, y'all.
All right, now let's talk about the February 22nd matchup between Warner and Florida Memorial University here. Warner coming off the first win, an upset win over Thomas 13-7, which is big time. That would be good enough to go ahead and put them in our top 5 right before or right below Thomas, who's at 4 currently. And then for Florida Memorial, this was their season opener here after kind of a tough year last year, finishing last in the Sun Conference and moving on from their head coach. But you know what? Let's go ahead and hop into this. Florida Memorial would start on offense, and that quarterback here is Taimalu Santos, who goes ahead on first down, finding Destiny Marrero over the middle, for a first down. After incompletion, it's second down, but that is dropped. So let's go ahead and go to 3rd and 20 here, where Santos throws the quick hitch to Vanessa Queen, but she is obviously stopped short. So it's 4th and 15, and Florida Memorial will punt. Now Warner, they go ahead and take over past midfield thanks to a nice return. So it's 1st and 6, or sorry, not past midfield. They are approaching midfield. So it's 1st and 6 near midfield with 9:55 left. And so on first down, Shea Crooks here on quarterback throws the out route to Angie Bunting here. That goes for about 5, so now it's 2nd and 1. After a drop pass, it's 3rd and 1 here. Crooks throws it over the middle, finding Trinity Kieran on the check down, who gets a good gain past midfield. So now it's 1st and 12 here. And on first down, Crooks throws the out to Anna Vincentini, who gets the first, putting them in the red zone, just barely though. So now it's 1st and 20 here in the red zone, the full zone to go. And on first down, Crooks throws the curl to Finley here, who puts them on the 7, so a nice gain of about 13. And then on 2nd and 7, Crooks checks it down to Kayla Ludwig, who runs it right up the middle to score her first collegiate touchdown of her career, and also gives Warner the lead 6-0 here in the first quarter. And on the PAT, going for 1 here, Crooks throws it to Vincentini on the slant to make it 7-0. Now FMU, they take over, but a huge sack by Lauren Clark on Santos would go ahead and set this offense back here, where they would eventually go 3 and out. Now Warner, they get the ball here past midfield this time, and it's 1st and 16. On first down, Crooks throws the out route to Anna Vincentini for about 5, so now it's 2nd and 11. On second, Crooks checks it down to Kayla Ludwig, who gets a good gain here, but not quite getting the first down, so now it's 3rd and 4. But on 3rd down, Crooks throws it to Finley, Jessica Finley here, but she's stopped just short. So now it's 4th and 1, and obviously they decide to go for it on the other side of the field. And so on 4th down, Crooks throws it to Allison Mangiati here, one of the lone seniors on this team, who gets the catch and puts them in the red zone. So now it's 1st and 17 to start here. And on first down here, Crooks throws the curl once again to Jessica Finley, and she gets some good yards, setting up a 2nd and 7 situation. They then throw the out route to Anna Vincentini, who tries to stretch it across the goal line, but is stopped on the 1. So now it's 3rd and 1 here, and that's when the first quarter ends here. A very eventful first quarter here to start as they get off to a fast start. And so Warner has a 3rd and 1 situation in the red zone at the top of the 2nd. And here's what happens. They just go ahead and direct snap it to Kayla Ludwig, who runs it in to make it 13-0. The 2nd touchdown of the game for her. On the PAT, Crooks finds Trinity Kieran to make it 14-0. Now Florida Memorial takes over on offense, trying to get something going here. But fast forward to a 3rd and 8 situation, Taimalu Santos makes an ill-advised throw, this time under pressure, and Chanel Harrison makes her pay for it and intercepts it. So Warner takes over 1st and 18 here. Moving on a couple plays here. 4th and 3, they have to go for it. They go ahead and snap it. It's a high snap, unfortunately, and that is not enough time for Crooks to corral it and throw it, and she is sacked by Deja Fanning. So that's a turnover on downs near midfield. Now Florida Memorial takes over with less than half of the quarter left here in the second, and here's what happens. Tamalu Santos throws the screen route here, throws a screen here to Erica Johnson, who gets a good gain, goes right, makes a couple tacklers miss, and gets a huge gain of about 15. So now it's 1st and 8, this time past midfield here. And on 1st and 8, Santos goes deep down the right sideline. There's someone there, but it is overthrown here. So now that sets up 2nd and 8 here, where Santos just shovel passes it on the jet sweep here left to Vanessa Queen, who gets a solid gain of about 3. So now it's 3rd and 5 with 3:35 left here in the second. And here's what happens. Santos drops back and throws the deep out here to Amelia Smith, who gets it for about a gain of 10. So now they're in the red zone for the first time today. 1st and 15. They throw the screen to Johnson here, but it goes nowhere. That brings up 2nd here. And on 2nd, Santos throws it deep into the end zone. She has another open player, but she is overthrown. So 3rd down here, and the 2-minute warning hits right then. So they're going to run this 3rd down play after the 2-minute warning. And Santos here on 3rd throws the out route right here to Anisha Gibbs, who almost scores here, but is stopped just short. It's 4th and 4. Obviously, they're going for it here. And Santos rolls out right and throws it towards the back of the end zone. But there is a flag thrown on Warner here. The throw initially is overthrown, but a PI penalty would go ahead, pass interference penalty would go ahead and give Florida Memorial a new set of downs and also move them just a little bit closer here. Warner takes a timeout here right before the 1st down play. But here's what happens. To go ahead and hand it off to Perla Batista, but she is stopped short. Then they go ahead and have another handoff, this time left on 2nd down, and Santos gets it, and she walks it in for the touchdown to make it 14-6 with 21 seconds before half. Now, the PAT is no good here, and that's basically where the quarter ends. Warner still leading 14-6 here going into the 3rd. And Warner actually starts with it here, and they make the most out of this one. Let's go ahead and fast forward a couple plays. It is 4th and 6 past midfield, a nice drive going for them. And here's what happens. Crooks drops back and throws a nice little dig route on the money with great timing to Jessica Finley, who gets them the 1st down. That would put them in the red zone. A key 4th down by Warner there to go ahead and put them in scoring position. And on 1st and 13, Shay Crooks drops back and throws a perfect ball on the wheel route to the back of the end zone to Angeline Bunting, who makes a great catch as well, but most importantly gives Warner a 20-6 lead over Florida Memorial. And then on the extra point, Crooks goes back to Vincenzini, who's in the back of the end zone, and makes it 21-6. A great throw here by Shay Crooks. A couple great throws by Shay Crooks here to go ahead and put them up by a good amount. Now, Florida Memorial, they take over, but they are not able to get much going here. A big sack by Talisha Perry on 1st down would really set them back here. And as well as some personal fouls being thrown on Florida Memorial. So eventually they punt as that drive dies. Now, Warner, they take over past midfield here, looking to put a dagger into FMU. And it starts with Crooks throwing the drag route to Mangiati for 5, setting up a very manageable 2nd and 5 here. And on 2nd down, Crooks throws the hitch to Jessica Finley, who gets the 1st down, putting them in the red zone in a scoring position. After an underthrown pass, which was incomplete, it's 2nd and 16. And Crooks throws the quick hitter to Mangiati once again, getting a nice gain of about 5, setting up 3rd. And on 3rd, Crooks throws the post to Anna Vincenzini, who makes a nice move at the top of her little post route here to get really good separation and get open here. And Vincenzini would score on this one, making it 27-6 left here in the 3rd quarter. The PAT is over, but that would pretty much be the daggers. They would take a 21-point lead going into the 4th. Now, to Florida Memorial's credit, they would score here at the top of the 4th. Santos throwing it deep, and it would be caught by one of her receivers making a great play. Couldn't see who it was, making it 27-14. But Warner would go ahead and respond with a big-time touchdown. This time, Andrea Rodriguez throwing, Crooks throwing it to Kayla Ludwig for another touchdown and eventually making it 34-14 after the PAT. Now, at that point, this game was basically over here. FAMU, they did have a chance to win, but in that 4th quarter on that Warner drive, they just had so many penalties on that drive here, and unsportsmanlike conduct. A roughing the passer, a holding penalty, just so many more penalties, another personal foul, like 4 in a row here that will basically move Warner all the way up here into the red zone and allow them to score. And so this game really was never close. Warner had a good amount of control over it for the majority of this game. Shea Crooks, in my opinion, was player of the game with 4 touchdowns. I felt like she was really clicking with her receivers and played very well here in her second game as a starter this season. So very impressed by her and this Warner team taking care of business. For FMU, a lot of the same struggles here, except I feel like they don't have as much firepower on offense. They struggled, against a very talented Warner defense. And so we'll see what happens moving forward for FMU, if they could get something going. It is their first game of the season against a very tough opponent in Warner, who looks to be the front runner here in the Sun Conference. So we'll see what happens with them. But Warner remaining undefeated, going 2-0 here.
What's good, y'all? Gino here, back with another Week 2 recap. This time we got some Sun Conference action for y'all with the number 17 and number 18 in our podcast power rankings facing off. We got the home team, Life University Running Eagles, hosting the Point University Skyhawks. I know y'all are just excited as I am to see how both these two new programs do in their first game in program history. So let's go ahead and jump right into this recap. We got Life ball here to start the game. It's Kamaya Graves in at QB to start off for Life, and on 1st and 6, she finds a receiver on a quick hitter for a first down. And on 1st down and 17, it's another quick hitter from Graves to the center, number 19, for a big gain near midfield to make it 2nd and about 3. This player is actually not listed on the team website, so I will just have to say her number. But back to the recap. Graves would run it for a first down across midfield, but multiple incompletions following the first down would lead to a punt for the running Eagles on their first drive of the game. A solid punt goes out of bounds at about the 5-yard line, and that is where the Point Skyhawks will start their first offensive drive of the season. It's Maddie Motts in at QB for the Skyhawks as she hits Darcy Wright for a nice gain to make it 2nd and about 1. An incompletion and false start makes it 3rd and 6, but Motts was able to find Esther Udo over the middle for about 7 yards to give the Skyhawks a first down and 19. A quick pass to Jordan Palmer goes for about 3 yards, and then back-to-back incompletions would force the Skyhawks to punt here on 4th and 16. A line drive punt puts Life at 1st and 16 in their own territory. A pass to Jayla Wright goes for about 2 yards to make it 2nd and 14. And on 2nd down, Kamaya Graves avoids a sack and tries to find a receiver, but the receiver is hit from behind. That pass interference flag on point makes it 1st and 6 for Life. Graves then hit Akira Brathwaite on a curl route for a first down across midfield to make it 1st and 17. Graves used her feet on the next play and scrambles for a nice gain to make it 2nd and about 7 yards to go. Graves kept it going here as she finds Brathwaite again along the sideline to make it 3rd and 1. Point rushes 2 on the next play, but Graves is able to avoid a sack as she runs for a first down, and that takes us to the end of the first quarter. Into the second quarter now, on 1st and 18, Graves pitches it to Aaron Rayford for a couple yards to make it 2nd and about 17. Point rushes 2 again on the next play as Graves keeps her composure and finds a wide open Altiera Gooch, and Gooch takes that for a nice gain to make it 3rd and 4. On the next play, it's another double rush, but Graves continues to play great as she finds a wide open number 19 over the middle, and she takes that one in for Life University's first touchdown in program history. The conversion is no good following the touchdown, so the Life Running Eagles lead now 6-0 with 10:14 remaining in the first half. It's point ball now, 1st and 6 with a chance to answer. Unfortunately for the Skyhawks, an offside penalty would set them back greatly as they end up going 3 and out here. Life takes the punt return near midfield to give them 1st and 3 with 7 minutes left in the first half. Kamaya Graves takes a designed run across midfield for a first down and about 18. Graves throws it back to their second QB, Jayla Wright, and she has an open receiver, but that ball is overthrown to make it 2nd and 18. Graves settles in here as she hits Akira Brathwaite along the sideline to make it 3rd and 4. A pass up the middle to number 19 on the next play gives them a first down and about 20. On first down, Graves hit Jayla Wright on the screen, and Wright takes that for a nice gain to make it 2nd and 11. On second down, it's Graves as she takes a design run left and goes untouched into the red zone for a running Eagles touchdown. The conversion was no good, but Life now has a commanding 12-0 lead with 3:25 remaining in the first half. Point takes over here, 1st and 6 for the Skyhawks as they prepare to answer. Maddie Motts throws it back to the second QB, Caitlin Rayner, as Rayner's flag is pulled for a loss of 3. Motts then found Jordan Palmer for a nice gain to make up for the loss to make it 3rd and 1. A Motts pass on 3rd down soars past the defender's hands and is complete to Darcy Wright for a first down and about 16. It's the 2-minute warning following that nice play. Motts ran it up the middle following the 2-minute mark for about 3 yards, and then a screen pass to Caitlin Rayner goes for a nice gain as they take advantage of the soft coverage to make it 3rd and 4 near midfield. An incomplete pass on the run on the next play makes it 4th and 4 for the Skyhawks. Motts probably could have ran it for the first down on that play, but she makes up for it on the next play as she lobs a beauty to Darcy Wright in between the zone defense to give them a first down and about 16 in the red zone. An incomplete pass from Rayner on the next play was followed by another pass from Rayner as she launches back to Maddie Motts for a nice gain to make it 3rd and about 6. Point calls timeout following that nice play with 31 seconds remaining in the half. Life also calls timeout here to try and get ready for a goal line stand. Offsides on Life puts Point half the distance to the goal, and on 3rd and short, Motts throws a highly questionable pass into the end zone right into a defender's hands as the ball is picked off in the end zone by Akira Brathwaite to give Life the ball back with little time remaining in the half. Nothing going for Life on their drive following the pick, so that would take us to the end of the first half. The Life University Running Eagles lead the Point University Skyhawks 12-0 heading into halftime. It's Point ball here to start off the half as they try to get their offense rolling with a 2-touchdown deficit ahead of them. On first down, Motts throws it back to Caitlin Rayner as Rayner avoids a flagpole and launches it to a receiver, but tight coverage from Akira Brathwaite forces the incompletion. A first down pass to Jordan Palmer on the next play got called back on a penalty, so it is now 2nd and 6 for the Skyhawks. Caitlin Rayner threw one deep to a receiver, but she is unable to get 2 feet in, so it is now 3rd and 6. Rayner made up for it on the next play as Motts throws it back to her, and Rayner launched a beauty to Leia Prather for a huge gain in first down across midfield. Motts ran it for a yard followed by an incompletion to make it 3rd and 18. Life sends 2 rushers here on 3rd down and flushes Motts right as she has a receiver open, but the ball is overthrown to make it 4th and 18. The Skyhawks option to go for it here, but the pass intended for Jordan Palmer falls incomplete to make it a turnover on downs near midfield. Life takes over now, 1st and 2 for the running Eagles. Point rushes 2 here on first down as Graves takes advantage and hits the center number 19 over the middle for a first down across midfield. On first down, Kamaya Graves throws it back to Jayla Wright, and Wright throws up a jump ball as Altiera Gooch makes an amazing jumping grab to give the running Eagles a first down in the red zone. An incomplete pass and a QB run after the amazing play makes it 3rd and 7. And then it's Kamaya Graves as she takes a run up the middle and just barely misses out on a touchdown to make it 4th and 1. Point calls timeout here to prepare for the goal line stand with 3:14 remaining in the third quarter. Following the timeout, Graves takes the snap, goes right, but she is stopped short of the goal line as Jordan Palmer makes an amazing diving flagpole to make it a turnover on downs at the 1 yard line. Point ball here near their own goal line. And Maddie Mott's pass is complete to Kyra Hart for a nice gain to make it 2nd and about 6. A couple of incompletions in a row makes it 4th and 6 as the Skyhawks prepare to go for it here. Motts drops back to pass and throws it to Kyra Hart in double coverage, and Hart somehow is able to make the grab to give Point a first down in about 18. A pass to Jordan Palmer goes for about 2 yards, and that takes us to the end of the third quarter. In the final quarter here, an incompletion makes it 3rd and 16, but a nice pass gives the Skyhawks 4th and 6 and a solid chance to get a first down. Motts drops back and finds Leah Prather over the middle and gets a highly questionable first down across midfield as it appeared she got stopped at least a yard short. Nonetheless, a holding call on the next play makes it 1st and 30. A first down pass to Kyra Hart goes for about 4 yards, and then a nice pass over the middle from Motts to Leah Prather goes for a nice gain to make it 3rd and 12. Motts then passes it back to Caitlin Rayner, and Rayner launches a missile over the middle under pressure, but that pass is picked off by Akira Brathwaite as Brathwaite takes the interception return across midfield with 7:48 remaining in the game. That is Brathwaite's 2nd pick of the game so far. It's 1st and 14 for the running Eagles in Point territory to start the drive. Following a pass to 19 for 8 yards and an incompletion, Life calls timeout with 6:21 remaining in the final quarter. It would be a turnover on downs, though, for the running Eagles after they fall just short of the first down on the next couple of plays. It's 1st and 17 here for Point to start this drive. Too many players on the field gives a penalty on Life to give Point a 1st and 12. Motts then throws it back to Rayner, and Rayner throws an absolute beauty to Jordan Palmer for a huge gain into Life territory. On 1st and 4, Maddie Motts avoids a sack and scrambles for a first down to make it 1st and 19 in the red zone. A pass to Jordan Palmer makes it 2nd and 13, and then an incomplete pass makes it 3rd and 13. On 3rd down, Motts drops back to pass and throws a prayer over the middle to a receiver with their back turned, headed for the end zone, and that pass is picked off by Altiera Gooch. That pick takes us to the 2-minute warning and would all but wrap up this game as the Life University Running Eagles get their first win in program history with a 12-0 win over the Point University Skyhawks. Not the most exciting game, with Life pretty much controlling the entire game with multiple clutch interceptions in the second half and those 2 nice touchdowns in the first half. Your PMC player of the game is awarded to Akira Brathwaite with her lockdown coverage and 2 clutch interceptions in the game, plus some big plays on offense as well. Her interception in the end zone to stop a Point University touchdown basically sealed this game, with her being an absolute ball hawk in the secondary. Kamaya Graves had a great game as well at QB, with her athletic ability really shining throughout the game and her awesome touchdown run in the first half. She protected the ball well with no picks and some great composure against Point's 2-rusher attack. Shout out Altiera Gooch as well, holding down the receiving core with some awesome catches throughout the game, including the game-sealing pick in the fourth quarter to put this game away. I also want to shout out the center, number 19, who had the first touchdown in program history, as well as a bunch of other big plays over the middle. Congratulations again to the Life University Running Eagles for their first win in program history. As for the Point University Skyhawks, there is definitely a lot of work to do. The multiple QB style offense is an interesting choice and worked at some points in the game, but it definitely worries me how they don't seem to have much flow onto the offensive side of the ball. It should be interesting to see how they do the rest of the season. Definitely expect some growing pains as they are a brand new program. Well, that basically wraps up this Week 2 recap. That was a fun one to watch, and I am very excited to see how these two programs do the rest of the season, especially in such a tough conference and them being brand new programs. This is Gino with the Playmakers Corner podcast checking out. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you all next week. Peace out.
Hey y'all, it is your host for this segment, Cody Stoffer here, and I am recapping the games that took place on February 23rd, 2024, and the first game that I watched was Warner visiting St. Thomas here. St. Thomas in their home opener here, actually in their opening game of the season here. Meanwhile, Warner coming in 2-0, including a huge win against Thomas, and then a very defining win against Florida Memorial just the prior day. So, at St. Thomas University here, thank you to Coach Mims, by the way, of Warner, who sent me the game film so I could go ahead and try and get this description to you guys as accurately as possible, as there were some issues with the stream here. So I'm going to kind of flip back and forth between my notes of the film that was provided to me as well as the film from the stream itself. So let's go ahead and jump right into it here. So it starts off with STU having the football actually, and there's just not a lot of coordination here. There's just some passes that aren't quite being brought in. They look a little rusty, honestly, out of the gate. And, you know, it's a little concerning seeing 3rd and 5 come up so quickly, but there's a completion over the middle. I want to say that's to number 5 as well, who turns on the burners and is barely stopped at around the 30-yard line, the opposing 30-yard line, by a diving flagpole. Now, they get another completion this time right that puts them in the red zone, but on first down, the rush forces an incompletion, and then another attempt over the middle is incomplete, and rolling to the left, Nair tries to throw across the field, and that is completed here to the right, setting up 4th and 10, but after sliding right and throwing, it hits the receiver's hands and falls incomplete, resulting in a turnover on down. So just a lot of mistakes on drops here to start the game for St. Thomas here. And Warner here will start on their own 10-yard line. They have a quick pass left that gains about 4 yards prior to an incompletion on some tight coverage, but a bullet on the following play will lead to a first down and convert. That is followed up by another quick strike, this time to the left for a few. The quarterback on this next play slides left and passes, and it is incomplete. After a dump off right, the receiver gets to the 33-yard line, and Warner will punt. But this is still a net positive, getting out of that red zone defense situation by still not allowing any points and still flipping the field here, forcing St. Thomas to start on their own 10-yard line. And start here they do with an incompletion, but a quick hitch left will gain some yards here, and then another completion over the middle narrowly collects a first down. Now on the following play, we have our quarterback looking left, pumping, and then completing a pass over the middle to end the quarter here. And now, to start the second quarter here, St. Thomas with the football. There's a throw that is just sailed right, and the following throw is barely overthrown on a home run attempt, and St. Thomas will end up punting back to Warner. Now, Warner, they will start from their own 20-yard line, and a quick throw left. This one is to number 23, listed on the roster as Anna Vincenzini here, who, reels in the catch and made some clutch plays in this game. More on that later. But that is followed up by an incompletion before a tough catch is made over the middle that also yields a penalty, setting up 3rd and 1 to go until the 40-yard line. Now there's a quick pass right that is incomplete, bringing up 4th and 1. And on the 4th and 1 here, the Royals will go for it and turn over on downs, giving St. Thomas University the ball right back here, actually in positive territory here. But that same number 23 here, Anna, makes a big play on first down as STU throws it over the middle, and it is intercepted by Anna here. And she also gets past midfield and laterals it, starting Warner at about the 30-yard line here. And after starting off with an incompletion, they do roll right and throw a quick pass here, and on consecutive plays pick up yards, and even getting into the red zone on their second completion here, and they are driving, feeling good here. But on this first play in the red zone, there's just not a lot to be found here, and the rusher for St. Thomas makes a good play. Either, I'm not sure if it was recorded as a sack or if it was on the line of scrimmage. But on second down here, Crooks loads up and lets it fly, where the receiver goes to catch it and cannot quite reel it in, and it gets tipped up in the air and caught by the defense out of bounds. However, still giving the Royals life and a chance to score before half here. Now, on third down here, or following that play, it is going to set up another incompletion, and it is going to be 4th and goal, and STU's defense steps up big. No dice for the Royals here as the Bobcats survive. Now, St. Thomas deep in their own territory, obviously start off with a quick completion left, and a diving catch is followed up by a first down throw on the next play that just narrowly gets to the 20-yard line. The following play is a throw right to, I want to say, number 12, Kaylee Miller here on the reception, according to the roster here, who makes a catch by the boundary, but a couple of incompletions later, it ends up being Warner ball, and that's basically going to take us to half. There is a direct snap that picks up a few yards, but, you know, at the end of the day, Warner's going to start off here with the football in the second half, and they're going to look to try and jump out to a lead here, as it is still 0-0 between these two heavyweights here. Now, Warner, they come out and complete a quick pass left for a couple of yards, and then on second down, there's a throw to the snapper who narrowly gets the first down. Now, I believe that snapper is going to be Kayla Ludwig on that reception here. And progressing through this drive, there's another pass right, this time completed for a gain of 7 yards. Another pass right picks up a few, setting up 3rd and 6, and the next pass is rifled into the receiver on the boundary, and the defender overcommits, allowing for a gain for a first down and some more here. Now, on first down past midfield, the pass is batted by the rusher here, and on second down, the rusher also rattles the Warner passing game here and sets up 3rd down. Now, a pass left sets up 4th and 10, and on 4th and 10, just when you think it can't get any better here, there is a pass right to the freshman Jessica Finley here, number 12, who makes a clutch catch and just uses great positioning and hands to gain the first down. First down, however, is an incompletion, but a pass left sets up 3rd and about 10. Now, Crooks drops, pumps, there's great protection here, and then tries to rifle it in, but just cannot quite complete the next pass. And on the 4th and 10, there's a pump fake that loses the rusher, and then tries to rifle it in by the pylon, but the pass is jumped and almost picked off by STU and ends up harmlessly falling to the ground, setting up STU on their own 10-yard line. But the Warner defense is absolutely relentless with a great pass rush and lockdown defense in pass coverage, forcing 3 straight incompletions, including a batted pass that ends up forcing a punt. Now, the punt is really bad, and it's basically free eats for Warner here, who starts at the 24-yard line going in, and they start off aggressively here, taking a shot downfield that does fall incomplete. But on second down, they mellow out and have a quick dump off to the snapper, who gains a few to end the third quarter. Now, a pass is then basketed in here to start the fourth quarter and pick up a first down before a huge deflection comes on 1st and goal. However, that deflection in the red zone here is flagged for pass interference, setting up Warner nice and close. And on 1st down here, the pass is fired in over the middle very dangerously here. But on 2nd down here, Crooks pumps and runs it in herself for the score, putting Warner up 6-0. The 1-point attempt is no good. Now, STU here trying to respond to start the fourth quarter, and they come out with an incompletion on a sidearm, but then a quick pass left will pick up a first down. The first down play doesn't yield success, and the rest of the drive is thwarted by stellar defense and a massive sack, putting them way back, 3rd and 24, and they have a completion that picks up a couple before a fourth down desperation attempt in triple coverage falls incomplete and gives Warner the ball in the red zone at about the 15-yard line. And the Royals, looking to just finish this game, settle for some short gains on some out routes and take their time and are very patient here before another throw left gets the Royals inside of the 3-yard line, and then a touchdown pass is completed left here on an out route, making it 12-0 here. The 1-point attempt is no good, but the Warner defense does their job closing shutting the door on St. Thomas here with, a initial scary deep completion that's just 3 yards shy of midfield, but the Warner pass rush does force the Bobcats to keep back 2 blockers, and they just look out of sync, eventually forcing a turnover on downs where Warner will kneel it and win. And Warner now 3-0 and number 3 in my power rankings, my apologies. And this is coming off of some huge wins against STU and Thomas, formerly ranked behind them for me, but the defensive presence in this game was just so overwhelming to St. Thomas. It was so obvious that they were not ready for the rushing committee that Warner had at its ready. Crooks looked so composed in this game against a great STU defense that, bended for a while. But, when you have to start off with just 24 yards to go on first down, that is a special teams mistake that I think really comes back to haunt St. Thomas here. And Warner absolutely capitalizes on this, making the most of this situation and coming away with the win. Especially with the pressure on St. Thomas here and Warner's defense being able to play freely and getting that huge sack, also setting up another Warner drive. Not this time, actually, inside the red zone. It was just too much for the St. Thomas defense. And so Warner here, capitalizing on some bad Bobcat mistakes, picks up a win on the road here to keep their undefeated season alive and puts them in great contention early in the season, that is, for a Sun Conference tournament bid. Now, that does it for this game. Warner defeats St. Thomas 12-0. Apologies on missing some numbers here. Just trying to put together between the commentary and the huddle film here, where it was just a little bit hard to see. But game recognizes game, and Warner is still undefeated. And that's my big takeaway from this contest. Hey, keeping it back to back here. It is Kodey Stauffer once again, but this time recapping Life versus Reinhardt here. Once again on the 23rd of February here. And this was Reinhardt's opening season game here. And for Life, this was their second game of the season here. And let's go ahead and jump right into it as Reinhardt does start off with the football here. And I guess you could tell that it's the first drive for them on the season because, while they do start off with a handoff that does pick up a first down, they eventually fall to penalties and short passes held for no gains and drops here that end up resulting in a punt. Now, Life here, they start off with a couple of runs here that eventually set up 3rd and 1. Now, they try passing left here, and that is going to be incomplete, but on 4th and 1 here, the quarterback is going to keep left here and pick up a first down. Now, on this fresh set of downs here, there is some motion, and they take a shot deep that is incomplete, but the pass does draw pass interference that puts them just outside the red zone. Now, there's an incomplete pass here, and then a speed option right is stopped just short of the first, and on 3rd and 1, there is great pressure from Reinhardt, and they are keying in on the double pass that forces an overthrow, and then another incompletion on 4th down leads to a turnover on downs. Now, Reinhardt, they come out here with a speed option of their own on first down, picking up a ton of yards, almost getting to midfield, and they just spam it a second time with another speed option pitch that gets a first down. Now, there is a short gain right before a pass right to number 20 picks up a first down. Number 20 on the roster listed as Victoria Salmon here, picking up that first down, but a penalty pushes it back. Now, on this following play after the penalty, They let a deep pass on Cork here, and it is caught out of bounds here. An absolute beauty of a pass, but it just is pushed a little too far out of bounds. And on 4th and 14, Reinhardt is going to end up punting after forcing that turnover on downs. Now, Life, they will start with the ball in the second quarter inside their own 5-yard line. Now, they have a direct snap left that picks up a good chunk and a first down here, giving them some breathing room. But after an incompletion on first down and trying to squeeze it in the middle here, that's a little too tough to make on second down, it is third down. And Reinhardt dials up the pressure here and gets the sack on third down, forcing Life to line up and punt here. So after allowing that first down big run to let them get outside of their own end zone, basically, Reinhardt parries back with a big defensive play here. Now, a huge punt return by number 2 here. I want to say that's Deshea Branham here is on the return. Sets up Reinhardt at the 21-yard line going in. So huge special teams play by Reinhardt. And after a direct snap up the middle, picks up a first down here. It sets up Reinhardt with first and about 9 here. That's Alicia Wyatt on that run here, getting inside the 10-yard line. And then there is a snap here and a shovel pass to Jada Vick, who breaks for the pylon and scores for Reinhardt at the 7.5-minute mark in the second quarter in this contest. Reinhardt goes for 1 and is stopped short of the plane, giving them a 6-0 lead here. Now, Life here on their first play, there's a penalty that pushes them back to start the drive, and they stick with their quarterback keeper here, who goes left and picks up a first down. Now, a screen on the following play is stopped quickly, and then an incomplete pass sets up third down, and a deep shot over the middle ends up incomplete. Great coverage on the play by Adriana Brustmeyer here, or whoever is listed as number 23 on the Reinhardt roster, keeping it tight between her and the receiver, forcing the incompletion. Now, Reinhardt to start here, they come out with a quick smoke pass right for a short gain to start the drive. Alicia, number 16, slides left and finds number 20, Victoria Salmon here, who fights ahead for a first down to midfield. She then finds her connection here, right again, 16-20 in the slot, who hook and ladders back to Wyatt here, who picks up another 6 yards. I just love that play design. I love the hook and ladder pass back to the quarterback. I love using all of your athletes as much as you can in this game. It's so awesome. But on the following play, there is a penalty on Reinhardt that will push them back. Now, quarterback here rolls left, steps back to avoid the pressure, and throws right to a receiver who catches, and the lights go out here, making it virtually impossible here to keep track of that here, and makes the catch and sprints down the sideline here. I want to say it was number 1 on the reception, which would make it Janaea Thomas here, and breaks down the sideline with the lights still off and scores, and the officials huddle up. I'm not sure if the power outage is going to have anything to do with the next call, but once the lights come back on, they rule it a touchdown, and all is well with the world. It was kind of crazy. I think it's weird that I see these power outages happen in games. It's only happened twice, but kind of weird that it's happened more than once. But anyways, they rule it a touchdown, and there's lots of motion on the pre-snap for the PAT, but they do not convert, going up 12-0 with just under 2 minutes left in the half. Now, Life here, 2-minute drill. They come out with a keeper left for a first down and out of bounds to stop the clock here. I believe that's Kamaya Graves here fielding the offense for this squad here. And so they roll out on this next play here. There's a short throw over the middle. I want to say it's to number 23, which would be Jayla Wright here. The Colorado Springs, by the way, representative here for this Life squad here, and she picks up about 4 yards. Now they hurry up on the ball, and the offense is under 1.5 minutes to go here, and the quarterback pumps, making the defender miss, and runs ahead for a few, setting up 3rd and 4. Now they hurry up back to the line, and it's a turn and dump off to the check down Wright, who sprints ahead for a first down, and a timeout is called with about a minute left in the half. Now they come out and throw a quick strike over the middle as the receiver does a great job just boxing out the defender. But there's a flag on the play that will move Life even further ahead and is now first down and 8 or so to about the 20-yard line, so about the 28-yard line. Life, they have some motion here, and they throw it left to Jayla Wright, once again, who sprints ahead and gets past the 20-yard line, setting up Life inside the red zone with under 50 seconds to go. Now there's a quick pass left, and the receiver goes ahead, setting up Life to only be about 4 yards away with half a minute to go. Now, Life motions a receiver in next to the snapper, and they roll out right and try and sling it into a tight window, but the pass is just incomplete. Now there's a timeout here, and a long break occurs, but they finally get it rolling with a motion right to left, snap it, roll left, and the quarterback dives for the end zone here and scores. They come out in the same formation here, a bunch formation in the PAT, and throw it over the middle, and that's incomplete, but the score is now within a single margin here, 12-6. Reinhardt still leading with about 20 seconds to go, and they ultimately, run out this half here. Life does get the football here with a breath of fresh life to start, and there's a quick pass left that picks up a first down. I definitely think that getting some quick passes in to cool the Reinhardt front into not keying on the quarterback will be helpful, but on the very next play, the rush flushes out the quarterback right, where the cornerback makes a great flag pull here and sets up 2nd and 10. Now there's a pass over the middle to 23 here that cuts the distance to a 1st and 1/2 here, and now it's 3rd down. Reinhardt brings 3 on 3rd down and 18 for the Eagles here, listed on the roster as Anaha Showers here comes up with a huge sack as the quarterback tries to escape the pocket but just can't quite pull it off, and Reinhardt here will start the ball. Now, on this punt, Reinhardt gets a couple of key positions here, makes some defenders miss, and takes it back to the house, but a flag on the other side of the field has me thinking it's coming back, and that is exactly what happens. And so Reinhardt goes from having a punt return for a score to starting inside their own 10-yard line. And they open up their drive with a jet sweep right that picks up just a few yards. And on 2nd down, there's a read option. This is kept by the quarterback, who picks up a first down and plenty more, setting up about 2nd and 9 until midfield. Now the quarterback barely gets the pass off left here to number 7, Jada Vick, who stumbles ahead for like another 7 yards and stays on her feet, eventually gaining her balance and accelerating all the way to the 21-yard line going in. Now there's play action pass over the middle here to number 20, who definitely gets held, but is ruled down at about the 6-yard line. Life then brings 2 rushers and forces an incompletion, and on 2nd and goal, there's a handoff up the middle that is swallowed up by the defensive duo up front. Now, for Life, it forces a flag pull for loss, and it's about 3rd and 8. Reinhardt calls a play action. Quarterback buys some time, and Jada Vick showing some great shadow blocking to help provide some extra time. And there's a strike over the middle that is high pointed by Victoria Salmon and caught on the touchdown. She was waving for the ball and eventually got her wish here and catches the score. Now the handoff on the PAT does not get there, but it is now 18-6 Reinhardt. Life here on the very next drive dies. This drive dies out very quickly. Reinhardt brings some pressure, forces some incompletions here, and they will have to punt. Now Reinhardt gets the ball just shy of midfield. They have a direct snap, who starts off and then pitches it off to the ball carrier, who gets a few more yards and gets past midfield for a first down. Now, after an incompletion, they let one rip deep left here, but it just cannot quite be brought in, setting up 3rd and about 15. A drop here by Reinhardt gives them an interesting choice with time winding down in the 3rd quarter, but they will punt here. Life, they will start their next drive right around their own 20-yard line and have a direct snap to the quarterback, who does pick up that first down past the 20-yard line. 2 rushers from Reinhardt on the very next play forces a quick pass that is behind the receiver and nearly intercepted. But on the next play, the Reinhardt pass rush does get home to the quarterback, where the ball flies up in the air and ends up in Reinhardt's very own number 25 as an interception. But it is ruled that the rusher made contact with the quarterback, and this penalty saves their life and keeps them on offense, setting up 1st and 9 to midfield following the penalty. Reinhardt is very mad, but I do believe it is the right call, at least from my angle on the stream here. And then that is followed up by a bold throw over the middle that is made, but number 2 for life bodies the defender here, boxing them out, making a huge catch here and setting them up on the other side of midfield with a 1st and 13. Now, Graves here makes a great move, making the rusher miss here on the initial rush and climbs right before ultimately picking up about 5 or 6 yards with her legs. 2 rushers are there on the next play, and receivers are open deep, but the quarterback just overthrows it, and we're looking at about 3rd and 7 with 8 minutes left in the game. The pass rush is seeming to rattle Life here, who throws into some heavy traffic, and luckily it falls incomplete. Could have been an interception here, and on 4th down, they are going to go for it, and Reinhardt lines up, stacking the box here, and ultimately stopping the quarterback from escaping for a 1st down and forcing a turnover on downs. Now, Reinhardt on their own 21-yard line throws a play action left that is incomplete, but on the next play, they motion right to left and call a QB keeper for just a couple of yards. Quarterback then rolls right and finds 20 near midfield, setting up 4th and 2 to the 40-yard line. Reinhardt goes for it and throws it quick right for the 1st down. And with 4.5 minutes to go, that will probably be the final nail in the coffin for any chance of a Life comeback. Here they start running the football here, just trying to run some time out before eventually on 4th down, Life will receive the ball on a punt with 2 minutes remaining, and they have to start this drive inside their own 5-yard line. After an incompletion, things get a little bit chippy between the receiver and the defender, with coaches coming out and benches almost clearing here. And there is a flag on Reinhardt for pass interference on that play, but both teams are given a second to cool off, and the refs meet, but ultimately Life has 1 yard to go for a 1st down and a minute 55 remaining, down 18-6. But Reinhardt follows that up with a sack on the next play, but Life gets a deep shot, and it's incomplete. Now, the next pass is a catch for a 1st down with about a minute and a half to go, but, there's going to be some hurry up and some gains here, and ultimately, there's going to be a deep pass over the middle that is ended here by number 8, Tatiana Alacock here, who gets the interception for Reinhardt and ends this contest. Reinhardt wins this game 18-6 here, beating Life in their season opener here. Life now at, I believe, 1-1 as of the point of the game ending here, and Reinhardt now 1-0. This offense looks very deadly. They have a ton of weapons, they have a ton of speed, and just look like they could really hurt anybody, honestly, in this. And if they continue to execute the way they did. Life here, I think that they just looked a little green and a little outmatched in this game, but they still have some things to hold their hat on here, and I think that Life does have the athletic potential here to make some noise, but I am a little concerned about their depth here. And pardon me, I believe they're actually 1-1 here. So they do have a win in their back pocket here, but definitely have some things to iron out prior to their next game, which is scheduled for March 4th against Milligan. So that does it here. Reinhardt gets the win 18-6.
All right, now let's go ahead and talk about the Ottawa versus Midland matchup on February 24th. I believe this is Midland's first actual game, as they've had a couple postponements as they travel to Ottawa for this one. And then for Ottawa here, this is their second game after a huge win over Baker, but I believe this is their home opener. So there you go there. Now, this game would quickly get out of hand here, so this is probably going to be a pretty short, recap, but here's what happens. Midland had Ottawa in a 4th and 5 situation just outside the red zone on their first drive, but Madison Carrera drops back and throws it deep to Jaslyn Camacho for a huge touchdown, their first score that goes for about 25 yards there. The PAT is good, so they lead 7-0 with 8:25 in the first half. Midland's first drive pretty much goes nowhere as they have to punt it. By the way, Angel Ioane-Ko in at quarterback instead of Michaela Nunez, who's now over at receiver. Nunez, who was their starter last season. there, which is worth noting. But Midland, they would go ahead and punt it, and Ottawa would march down the field, and that drive would end with Madison Carrera pitching it forward to Alyssa Linkus. But the PAT would be no good with 28 seconds left in the first, and so they would go up 13-0. Now, following that, Midland would go an immediate 3-and-out here, and here's what would happen. Carrera drops back and throws it deep to Cynthia Homs, who catches a big one here for about 20-plus yards to jumpstart this drive. Also, a penalty here, I think, was thrown against Midland there. That would help out this drive. Eventually, here in the red zone, it would be 2nd down, and Carrera would find Alyssa Linkus near the right sideline there. She would scramble around and find Linkus here, who would toe tap it in and make it 19-0. Once again, the PAT no good with 7:49 left in the second. Milligan on the next drive would get a first down before stalling out and punting, and so Ottawa would come back here, and Madison Carrera would throw a nice little post route to Jocelyn Camacho to give her her second touchdown of the day to go up 25-0 with 2:06 left in the second. And then in the closing seconds of this second quarter, Madison Carrera would run it in, making it 32-0, actually 33-0, with a PAT caught by Bailey Hodgins here. And eventually, Ottawa would win 45-12, player of the game being Madison Carrera, who was on the money all game here and played really well. I got some final stats here. Madison Carrera, 25 of 36 for 303 passing yards and 6 touchdowns. Also 46 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown there, which is big time. They really spread the wealth around here pretty well here. Cynthia Homs leading with 5 receptions and 93 yards, leading in yards, that is, and had a receiving touchdown. As far as the leader in receptions, that would be Alyssa Linkus with 6 receptions for 49 yards and 2 touchdowns there. Jocelyn Camacho would also have 3 receptions for 56 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Marley Spielberg with 39 receiving yards and another receiving touchdown as the freshman continues to get involved there, which is big time. Defense for Ottawa was popping off. DJ Paris with 3 sacks and a pick. Another sack and interception game for her. Second one in a row. Suze Kaufman with another sack there. Abby Brown gaining an interception, and Farron Malouf, with another interception there as they were cooking. For Midland, some struggles here. Angel Ioane Ko back in as a starting quarterback. Started 2 years ago before being eventually benched here, but a tough go. 22 of 36 for 188 yards. 2 touchdowns, though, but threw 3 interceptions and also took 4 sacks there. Michaela Nunez was their leader in receiving yards with 50 on 4 receptions and had one of their touchdowns. Mayana Seegers here had 2 receptions for 23 yards and the other touchdown. You also have Alyssa Butler, who led with 6 receptions there and also had 49 yards. But altogether, this Midland team struggled here, getting no sacks or picks. Sydney Red, though, with 7 total touchdowns. Ottawa continuing to roll here, beating number 10 Midland, or at least in week 1, Midland was ranked at number 10, and they will continue on here, staying undefeated at 2-0, and 2-0 against conference play as well. Not too much more to say. This team is rolling. They look great. As for Midland, an interesting decision to go with Angel Ioane Ko, but I get it. You want Michaela Nunez back at receiver to give yourself another receiving threat. Did get 2 touchdowns, but was basically at garbage time at that point there. So, it is what it is there. We'll see if they could build on some of that momentum going into their next game. All right, now moving on to the Saturday slate of games, February 24th. Let's go ahead and start talking about Milligan versus Point. Milligan currently ranked at number 12 after week 1. Point here at 17, obviously playing a game earlier on in this week here against Life, so make sure you check out that recap. But this would be the first game for Milligan, and this would be the first home game for Point, and Milligan coming off of that 1-year hiatus going into this game. But let's go ahead and get started here. Milligan starting with the football here. They would go ahead and hand it off to number 2 Destiny Johnson, who goes ahead and gets the first down. Following that, Their quarterback, Bridget Keiser, I believe, or Bridget Keiser, excuse me, goes ahead and throws it into the flat, but it goes for no gain. Then they hand it off left again to Destiny Johnson, who takes off down the left sideline, finds an opening and almost scores, but is stopped just short for a huge gain of 40-plus yards here. With that, they are now in the red zone, first and about on the 10-yard line. Fast forward a couple plays. Let's go ahead and go to 4th and 7. On third down, there is a deflection there, but on 4th and 7 here in the red zone, here's what happens. Bridget Keiser throws a fade route here, one-on-one to her receiver, Sarah Rancorn, and she goes ahead and makes a beautiful catch here, falling down to get the touchdown and put them up 6-0. A penalty is also thrown on point for PI, which I believe is just applied to the extra point there. And so on the PAT, Keiser pulls the RPO and throws it to Sam Urso, her center. That puts them up 7-0 pretty early on. Now, point, they take over here, Maddie Motts in at quarterback, but not too much is going for them, which also includes a throw in the flats here that goes for a loss. And so they see themselves or find themselves in a 3rd and 15, and on third down, Motts throws it to the other quarterback here, I believe, Caitlin Rayner, who throws the dig on the double pass, but it's dropped, and so point is forced to punt it. Now Milligan, they take over here, and let's go ahead and fast forward a couple plays, gaining some yards and driving down the field. It is 3rd and 15, and here is what happens there. Bridget Keiser drops back and goes deep down the right sideline and finds Caitlin Quinn, who goes ahead and toe taps this one inbounds, and so that would give them the first down past midfield there. So 1st and 15 on that 20-yard gain. Moving on a couple more plays here. It's 3rd and 1. Keiser throws a drag route to Sarah Rancorn, who makes a defender miss and gets them back into the red zone, bringing up 1st and 16. But let's fast forward to the start of the second quarter. Milligan finds themselves in a 3rd and 1 situation in the red zone. They do call a timeout at the top of that quarter before they run a play on 3rd. And then on 3rd, Keiser, under pressure, checks it down, but that player is stopped short, so that brings up 4th and 1. And on 4th down, Keiser tries to squeeze it over the middle, but unfortunately the pass is dropped, so that's a turnover on downs. Now point, they are not quite able to get anything going here. In fact, they find themselves in a 4th and 10 situation after originally getting the first down, so it's 4th and 10 approaching midfield, and they probably should have punted it, but instead they go for it, and they throw it, but it's well guarded. It's really not there, and so they go ahead and turn it over on downs. Milligan getting the ball past midfield here, but unfortunately a sack by Esterudo on 3rd and 14 would force a 3 and out, and so Milligan punts it back. So there you go there. Now let's go to 4th and 1 here. They go ahead and call a quarterback designed run by Maddie Motts, who gets it and gets them the first down across midfield. After a drop at 2nd and 16, Motts throws the hitch to Kira Hart, but she gets knocked down for 6 there, and that brings up 3rd and 10 there, where they go back to Hart on the hitch, who gets them close to midfield. So now it's 4th and 2, and on 4th and 2 near midfield, Motts drops back, but is a little indecisive, trying to direct in traffic here and gets sacked. But it looks like number 4. I couldn't find her name on the Milligan roster, but either way, that is a turnover on downs. And so here we go, Milligan with another chance to go up by 2 scores potentially here. Bridget Keiser drops back and throws it deep down the right sideline against pressure and finds a wide open Caitlin Quinn, who catches it in stride and is off to the races, looking to score, but is tackled here. And so that's 30-plus yards on that gain alone, but obviously they add on some penalty yards on an obvious personal foul. And so Milligan finds themselves in a 1st and 1 situation in the red zone. They try a couple direct snaps here to Abby Lynn Laprice, but she is stopped just short there. A 3rd timeout called by Milligan before 3rd down would go ahead and get them in that situation, but a false start would push them back 3rd and 6, taking away some momentum here. And on 3rd and 6, Keiser throws it to a receiver on the hitch, but it is bobbled and eventually intercepted by Maddie Motts. And so that will end the second quarter and the first half here. Milligan with the 7-0 lead here in this game. Now, Point, they take over, and it looks like they have a pretty promising drive, but on 3rd and 12, their quarterback, Caitlin Rayner, who is now in at quarterback, tries to throw it over the middle. It's just an ill-advised pass, and Abulin, LaPrice makes her pay and intercepts that, picks it off. And so Milligan, they take over 1st and 17 past midfield. On 1st down, Keiser throws the curl to Ashton Weirley, who gets them a good gain, making it 2nd and 4 on that 13-yard gain. Then Keiser throws the hitch to Sam Urso, who scoots a little bit closer to the 1st down, but doesn't quite get it. It's 3rd and inches. And on 3rd and inches, Keiser tries to throw it over the middle on the drag, but the pick is dropped, luckily enough. So now it's 4th and inches. And on 4th down, Keiser throws the drag to Elena Green, who makes the catch and puts them in the red zone, setting up a 1st and 17 situation. On 1st down, Keiser throws another drag to Urso, who gets a good gain, now making it 2nd and 3, a nice little 14-yard gain. They hand it off left to Michaela Davis, who gets the edge and runs it in to give them the 13-0 lead. Then on the PAT, they hand it off to the back, who then hands it off to the receiver on a little end around. Some trickery here, couldn't see the number here. But regardless, the receiver makes a defender miss and walks it in, making it 14-0. Now, Point is looking to get something going here, but on 1st down, Motts is sacked by Kiara Guzman, Sakapolu, which is a big sack there, forcing it to be 2nd and 10. And once more on 2nd down, Motts is sacked by Kiara Guzman, Sakapolu. So that brings up 3rd and 14, and on 3rd and 14, Guzman Sakapolu drops back and deflects it, making all the big plays here, forcing a 3 and out on Milligan basically by herself. And so Milligan takes over here. Pretty well past midfield on a pretty bad punt. It's 1st and 6 here, but a dropped snap makes it 2nd and 12. Then a dropped pass makes it 3rd and 12. And then at that point, they just hand it off left to Destiny Johnson, who makes a couple defenders miss, gets a solid gain. But by this point, it's 4th and 7. And on 4th and 7, Keiser throws the drag to Sam Urso, but it is stopped just short by Alexandria Jackson. So that's a turnover on downs. Let's go ahead and fast forward to the 4th quarter. Point trying to get something going here. It is 3rd and 1, and they go ahead and shovel pass it forward to Kira Hart, who makes a player miss and gets them into the red zone. So now it's 1st and 17. Rayner in at quarterback now. She throws the corner to Darcy Wright, but the defender for Milligan is able to deflect what would have been a touchdown. So now it's 2nd and 17. On 2nd down, Rayner throws the post, and it hits a receiver before almost bouncing into another Point player's hand, but it is dropped by both. A lot of missed opportunities, a lot of drops here by Point here in this game. So that brings up 3rd and 17, where they throw it to the flags to Alexandria Jackson, who gets some solid yards, making it 4th and 6. And obviously they go for it here. Rayner in at quarterback, gets the snap. Milligan sends to, and she looks to throw it, but it looks like it must have been deflected because the throw's a little bit low and incomplete. So it's a turnover on downs, and some frustration on the sideline here with some thrown equipment and whatnot, as Point suffering from a lot of drops here in this game. Now, Milligan, they basically just try to run out the clock before punting it. So there you go there. And so Point will take over just before the 2-minute warning. So there you go. This game's basically over at this point. Point would actually get into the red zone thanks to some solid plays here. But 4th down here, Maddie Motts tries to throw it to Caitlin Rayner, and then it is deflected here by Abilene Laprise. A big time play made by her to get that turnover on downs on that deflection. And so this game is basically over. Milligan wins 14-0. In my opinion, the player of this game, I think, is Abilene Laprise. Some key deflections and picks in the second half just really made points struggle and gave Milligan that dub there. I think Bridget Keiser could have also been in consideration there, but I wanted to give credit to that defense who stood tall in that second half. As far as reactions to the game go, Milligan, they look good. Some missed opportunities in the red zone. There are only 2 drives here in this whole game where they didn't make it into the red zone, and they had a handful of drives where they got to the 1-yard line and just couldn't score. So some tough missed opportunities by the offense, but this is their first game here. First game here really in 2 years, so trying to put some things together with a newish roster against competition. So there you go there. And then as for point, I mean, they had opportunities specifically on offense, but just so many drops this game. Not incompletions, not too many sacks, but just a lot of drops that kept killing momentum for them. And so they got to get that figured out moving forward here. Only in their second game, but still some things to improve, but nothing they can do there. Milligan getting the win, like I said, 14-0 over points. All right, now moving on into some more KCAC action here on Saturday, February 24th. We have a matchup, Southwestern's home opener, actually, between number 16 Southwestern, as of week 1, that is, and tied for 14th, the University of St. Mary. USM coming off of 2 tough losses, one a real close one here to Baker, 13-8 at Baker, before getting blown out at home 32-6 by Kansas Wesleyan. And so looking to bounce back. Southwestern coming off of a thriller of a game over at Cottey there, winning a big one in those closing moments, erasing a 2-score lead from Cottey and coming back and winning that one in the second half. So definitely going into this game with some momentum. Now, this first quarter, not too much went on. Southwestern would start with it, but would eventually punt it after getting a first down here. St. Mary, not too much better here. Honestly, they would go 3 and out, continuing to struggle on offense. And so Southwestern takes over here after some time in the first quarter. First and 15 here, on the 25. Fast forward here to 2nd and 16. They will throw the quick out to Samuel Abosco, but a penalty would be thrown on the Spires here. So that would give Southwestern a 1st and 2 look here, approaching midfield. Skipping a play here, let's go to 2nd and 1. Miranda Dooley in at quarterback runs it left and gets them the first down past midfield, so it would be 1st and 20. And right then, time would run out in the first quarter, so that's where we pick up second quarter here. 1st and 20 for Southwestern, and here's what happens. Miranda Dooley goes deep and throws the skinny route to Aaliyah Hansen for a big play here to go ahead and put them in the red zone. A big gain of about 30-plus yards there, but 1st down and 5 in the red zone. Miranda Dooley backpedals here and throws an ill-advised pass, just not a good decision here, and it is easily intercepted by Anaya Hooks and returned. So the Spires gets a 1st and 13 look here, but the offense continues to struggle as they are not able to get anything on 3rd and 4 a couple plays later, where their quarterback Cheyenne Brooks is under pressure and is forced to throw it away. And on 4th down, they go for it, but Brooks throws it to the flat and it is dropped, so that's a turnover on downs, and Southwestern takes over. Once more here, Miranda Dooley drops back and throws a strike deep on the post to Mallory Lund, who is just stopped short of the touchdown. So now it's 1st and 6 here in the red zone. But on 1st down, Dooley is sacked by Michaela Swangby. So now it's 2nd and 14, and Southwestern calls the timeout here. And so 2nd and 14, Dooley coming out of the timeout. Goes kind of deep here on the corner route, throwing it to Solis, but it is dropped. But a penalty is thrown once again against the Spire, so now it is 2nd and 7 here. And then on second down, Dooley throws a quick drag to Solis, who goes for 2, bringing up 3rd and 5 there. And on 3rd down, Dooley scrambles, but is stopped short. It's 4th and 4. And on 4th down, Dooley is forced to throw the check down to Solis. I don't know about this call here or this decision, but it's immediately stopped, so that's a turnover on downs. Now the Spires, they take over here, but unfortunately the struggles continue. They direct snap it to their tight end / receiver, Rebecca Ruck, who then tries to pitch it, which is interesting, on a little option play, but it is just intercepted by Viviana Solis. And not only is it intercepted, but Solis returns it to the house. So Southwestern takes the 6-0 lead. The PAT is no good there. The Spires, they are not able to get anything going as a false start continues the struggles for this offense, and so that's basically it. Southwestern leading 6-0 at home here. Some struggles here on offense, but they're getting into the red zone. They've gone into the red zone twice in that first half, but couldn't quite get anything going there. So there you go there. Now the Spires, they start with it on offense, but they throw it. Brooks throws it, and it's a dropped pass. But Solis is there making a diving interception. And so now the Southwestern, they take over 1st and 15 basically here in the red zone. On 1st down, Dooley throws it deep, but it is just off the mark. It looks like she was aiming for the deeper pass here that would have went past or in the back of the end zone, excuse me. So it would have been one into the back of the end zone, but was thrown just a little bit short. So that brings up 2nd down here. And on 2nd down, Dooley rolls left and finds a wide open receiver deep to Tegan Smith, making it 12-0. And then the stream went out and literally just died. I don't know what happened from there, but it kind of looks like Southwestern was able to pull away here, as they would end up winning 20-0. For me, player of the game, I think, has to be Viviana Solis. She had those 2 interceptions that I saw there, both of them, I believe, would either score or set up a scoring play. That pick 6 in the second, and in the third, that diving interception to set up that touchdown from Dooley to Smith there would go ahead and put Southwestern up. As Southwestern continues to roll, and they win 20-0 there. And the Spires continue to struggle as they get shut out once more, losing their 3rd in a row. I don't have too many key reactions because basically half the game was, I don't know, which was not shown, which is kind of weird on Southwestern's part. I don't know why they did that or why they lost connection, but it did. But let me talk about Southwestern first. Offensively, they looked pretty good. Just some tough mistakes, as this is still a really young team, so, you're going to make some mistakes. They did get into the red zone twice here in the first half and couldn't score in that first half. It was a pick 6 that would end up having them giving them their first score, and so this definitely should have been a lot worse of a game. They were able to get something going there, but will only score one other touchdown after that Dooley to Smith one there. So they're still figuring it out, but they looked pretty good for the most part for a young team, for sure. And then for the Spires defensively, they gave them some looks there, but offensively, they just looked bad. I'm just going to be honest with you. They just looked bad, making so many mistakes, a lot of drops there, taking a lot of sacks, which I don't think is necessarily on the quarterback, but it's just the play design. It's just not good right now. And so they've dropped 3 in a row. It doesn't get better as they play the defending champs Ottawa here on Tuesday when this episode will come out. And Ottawa is better than the first 3 teams they played in Baker, KWU, and Southwestern, and is arguably the best team in the country. And so they got to figure something out at this point. And honestly, with the way this game, or with the way this year is going for the Spires here, they might go winless if they don't figure it out. Just being real. They lost the first-year programs in Baker and Southwestern. The Baker game was definitely a winnable one, but with the way Baker played, on Saturday, the 24th, I don't know if Baker's going to allow another close game again. And same with Southwestern. I don't know if they'll allow another close game. I mean, they lost 20-0, but I still felt like it was a close game. I don't know if they allow another one like that again. So, I guess we'll see what happens moving forward there. And yeah, Southwestern, they win 20-0 over the University of St. Mary. Continuing with the Saturday slate of games from the 24th, let's go ahead and talk about another KCAC matchup. Baker going to Cottey here. Baker here in week 1, ranked 13. Cottey tied for 10th here, but Cottey did lose a tough 32-25 game to Southwestern here just a couple days ago, so that's obviously going to drop them. Baker, on the other hand, they won 13-8 against St. Mary, their first game. Then the Midland game got postponed, and then they played Ottawa, who they lost to 53-6, but they are the defending national champs. So looking to bounce back, going on the road here to Cottey, their first road game here. And so let's just go ahead and hop into it here. Cottey, they start with it. They find themselves in a 4th and 1 situation after an incompletion and a scramble here. But on 4th and 1, they decide to go for it, which is a little risky, I'm not going to lie. And their quarterback, Amaya Karula, scrambles before just kind of throwing it away, which was a bad decision. Just a bad one. I don't know. You just have to have a little bit more awareness there. And so Baker starts in the red zone, 1st and 20. And on the first play, Sanaya Waller throws it deep to Faith Phillips on the corner route left. And she scores, giving them the 6-0 lead. Now, and this is at the 10:15 mark. Now, the PAT is originally no good, but a PI call was thrown there. And so following that, Waller throws it to Destiny Martinez, the former Cottey Comet, who makes it 7-0 with 10:15 left. Now, Cottey, they try to get going again, but once more they continue to struggle as Karula is sacked by Gabriela Ortega, setting up a 2nd and 15, and it just doesn't get better from there as they go 3 and out and punt it. Now, Baker, they take over here past the midfield with 8:18 left. 1st and 16 here. Waller scrambles left for barely a gain, so that brings up 2nd and 15, and it's an incompletion on 2nd down. So let's move on to 3rd and 15 here, where Waller scrambles for a couple, making it a manageable 4th and 4 here. And on 4th down, looking to convert, Waller decides to go for more here as she scrambles right and finds Faith Phillips near the sideline, who just speeds into the end zone, making it 13-0. They're outrunning the entire defense, and the PAT is no good on this one at 6:07 left. Now, once again, Cottey, they tried to get something going here, but a holding penalty would bring back a huge gain where Karula would scramble for a good 20-yard chunk there, and they would just not be able to recover as they would go 3 and out for the 2nd straight drive in a row. Now, Baker, they go ahead and take over here. Let's fast forward to 4th and inches here. Waller scrambles for the 1st down. That would put them in the red zone there. And so there you go there. Baker's in the red zone. Let's go to the 2nd quarter where it's 2nd and 4 in the red zone. Waller throws the open out route to Janai Ferdinand. That puts them up 19-0 with 11:57 left. And then on the PAT, Waller scrambles in to make it 20-0. And then Cottey, they take over and they go 3 and out once more. A high snap really killing their momentum, if they had any, because they have had 3 and outs in a row by this point. And so Baker takes over past midfield, 1st and 6 at the 9:42 mark here. On 3rd and 1, Waller throws the slant to Destiny Martinez, who gives them the 1st down, putting them in the red zone. And then on 1st and 14, Waller throws the quick check down to Kayla Harrison, who looks like she's about to get her flag pulled, but the defenders just miss. Just blatantly bad defense there. And so she walks in to make it 26-0 with 8:21 left. The PAT is no good, but this game is over here. Final score: Baker 52, Cottey 26. Cottey would score some touchdowns, but just all garbage time touchdowns that would happen in the second half as Baker would sub out some players and whatnot there. My player of the game here is NAIA Waller. She played an excellent game, just slicing up this defense of Cottey's here. So there you go there. And I mean, it just wasn't a close game because of how well she played. Let me react to this one and talk about Baker here. They looked very good on offense, extremely sharp. Defense played really well too. But you know, I'm just gonna say, and now I'm gonna talk about Cottey. Cottey was just bad today. Offensively specifically was just bad. Defensively, you know, you missed some opportunities here and there, but offensively, you just can't go 3 and out like 3 or 4 straight drives in a row in the first half and expect to win anything, honestly. And obviously they got going here, but they did make a quarterback change. I saw subbing out Amaya Karula for Alyssa Hollis, and I assume some other players as well, as it just feels like maybe they got to figure something else out at quarterback on offense here. But, you know, we'll see. It's a second game only for Cottey here. But it's a tough go. It's a tough go. You know, they're now 0-2 here, losing. You know, it doesn't look as bad, 52-26. But they were down 26-0, right? You know, they let them go on a 26-0 run in the first half. So that looks pretty bad in itself. But, you know, it is what it is. We'll see what happens. Baker gets the big win here, 52-26, improving to 2-1. Cottey now drops technically to 1-2 because Bethel forfeited that home game to them. So there you go there.
Hey, folks, it's Cody Stauffer here, and I'm going to be talking about the matchup between Campbellsville and Point here that occurred on Saturday, the 24th, here in February of 2024. So let's go ahead and jump into it here. And it starts off with Campbellsville having the football here, and they call a direct snap to number 12, Journey Knowles, their quarterback here, who picks up a few yards, setting up second and about 3. Campbellsville rolls right, and 2 rushers from Point force an incompletion. On 3rd and 3, it is a direct snap to Presley Payne, number 4, for Campbellsville, who breaks left and sprints up the left sideline, eventually trying to cut across the field, and doesn't get her flag pulled until about the 21-yard line going in. Now, number 8 by Point here is responsible for making that touchdown-saving flagpole that is listed as Jalea Kelly here. And now Campbellsville, just outside the red zone here, is ready to get it done. But on first down, they do have an incompletion. However, a penalty on Point does set up a new set of downs for Campbellsville inside the red zone. Now, Alasia Nathan here follows that up for Point with a nice flagpole in the backfield for a loss. On second down, however, number 21 catches the pass from number 12. That's JC Harper on the reception and makes a few defenders miss, making her way all the way into the end zone. That is a touchdown for JC Harper and Campbellsville. And the direct snap to Payne on the 1-point conversion finds pay dirt here, and Campbellsville is up early 7-0. Now, Point here, they are trying to respond, and they snap to 18 here. That's going to be Maddie Motz, who initially makes a defender miss, but is still stopped short of the first down. Point then lines up tight and then passes it, but that is an incompletion. And on 3rd and 3, there's a quick snap and then a pass to number 12. That is listed as Leah Prather here, who picks up a first down. Point then has short motion and snaps the ball, throwing left on a swing pass that picks up a couple yards and leaves about a 2nd and maybe 16. There's a rollout right, and then throwing downfield to number 7 here, and it is just out of reach. It is a big pass attempt downfield, so trying to stretch out this defense here. And, I mean, this was a very open home run, in my opinion. Now, on the next play here, they do throw it left and lateral it back to the quarterback, who picks up a few, but it's still 4th down deep in their own territory, and Point actually comes out on offense here. They roll left and they shovel ahead to number 1, who barely picks it up. That is Kira Hart here, or Kira Hart, my apologies. and that does keep the drive alive. Now, just past midfield, they call a quick pass to the snapper, number 12, who picks up about 5 yards. That is listed as Leah Prather once again. And on 2nd and 15, there's a quick pass to the smoke screen right, 24, who picks up about 4 yards. 24 listed as Alexandria Jackson. That is a name to keep in mind for a little bit later. But regardless here, they pick up a few extra yards here. And now it is 3rd and 11, but Campbellsville commits a hold on the quarterback going for the sack. And this gives Point a first down now in the red zone at about the 19-yard line. Now Point, they pass right toward the boundary and pick up about 5 yards. And on 2nd down, there's a quick pass over the middle, but another flag from Campbellsville keeps breathing new life and giving new opportunities to Point, who's now inside the 10-yard line. It's 2nd down, and the ball is snapped to 18 Motts, who breaks for the pylon and cuts up into the end zone for the first touchdown in program history here. Motts setting a precedent here for how Point is trying to play. And then on the 1-point conversion, Motts tries to rifle it in, but it is incomplete, and Campbellsville still leads now 7-6. Campbellsville on their drive, now leading by a single point, starts off with a pitch that barely doesn't get back to the line. Now on 2nd down, they call a quick pass over the middle, and the flag is pulled by number 3 here, setting up 3rd and about 4 on the flagpole. That's Jordan Palmer for Point University. And they call a direct snap once again to number 4 here, who runs left and narrowly gets a first down to Campbellsville's own 21-yard line, and that will be the end of the first. Now, to start the second quarter, there's a couple of broken plays here that set up 3rd and very long. I want to say maybe 17 here. And Campbellsville comes out in the bunch formation. Number 12 tries to push it toward the boundary, but it is incomplete, setting up Campbellsville to punt. Now, Point, they start on their own 19-yard line, and they do start off with an incompletion. However, there is a pass quickly to Kira Hart here for a first down and 15 until about midfield. Another incompletion starts this set of down, and then Point actually false starts, and that pushes them back into a long 2nd down here. Now, they start off with a swing pass that is actually just demolished by Campbellsville with 2 defenders back there, and I want to say number 14 is credited with the flag pull for loss. That is listed on the roster as Brooklyn Brownlee out of Tompkinsville, Kentucky here. Now, Campbellsville, the defense keeps it up here, and it's now 3rd down and 26. There's a quick pass to Palmer, who picks up maybe 10 yards, but is still very far from the first down, and Point will punt. Now, Campbellsville's very own Presley Payne, once again, is the returner and returns way past midfield, setting up 1st and 12 until the red zone here. So great special teams play here, and Campbellsville comes out with the speed option left, but there's a great flag pull by Jordan Palmer here to keep this gain very minimal. Now Campbellsville airs it out downfield to number 7, Angeline Beecher here, who makes a great catch in the red zone, setting up first down and almost 10. Now, on the very next play here, Journey Knowles takes another shot deep downfield, but it is out of reach of the receiver, and it is incomplete. We've reached the 2-minute warning here, and Knowles comes right back out and takes another shot towards the right corner of the end zone. That is caught by Angeline Beecher here, and that is a touchdown. But a flag on Campbellsville undoes the score and sets up 2nd and 19 now. This would not deter number 7, who makes another catch here and kind of trucks the defender and rumbles ahead for the score here. And then the 1-point throw to number 21, J.C. Harper, is complete, and that makes it a 14-6 Campbellsville Tigers lead. Now, Point has very little time left in the half here, and they call a quick pass that picks up a first down, and another pass this time to number 15 on the reception here. That is Laney Grace Benefield here, who makes the catch, and this sets up 2nd and less than 10 here. But that is followed up by a sack from Campbellsville. That is Olivia Knopfensinger Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, Olivia, for butchering that. But that is a sack by Olivia here that sets up a longer conversion here. And it's actually welcomed by Point because if they did not rule the flagpole as the sack, it would have been an interception. And Point takes a timeout here. On third down, they throw a quick strike down the middle to 12. That sets up 4th and 2. And a direct snap to Motts does get ran ahead for a first down. There's then a quick snap and throw to 12 again that picks up about 5 or 6 yards, and Point takes another timeout. But this next throw over the middle is intercepted by number 21 on Campbellsville, J.C. Harper on the interception. And Campbellsville has first down in their own territory with about 14 yards until the first down. They call a jet sweep here that is kind of botched, and number 13 is credited with the flagpole for loss. That's Esther Udo for Point here. And Campbellsville eventually just runs out the half. Now, it is halftime. Campbellsville is leading 14-6. Both these offenses are moving the ball pretty well, honestly. Campbellsville, you could just see their experience a little bit more. And I think that for Point, they're starting to get comfortable, and I think that they're starting to build, some camaraderie here and get ready to, compete a bit more. And so they come out with the ball in the half, and they come out with a deep shot that is incomplete. And after another incompletion, it's 3rd and 5, and we're starting to think that maybe some of the momentum that they built in the first half might have fizzled away. But they throw over the middle and then lateral right back to the quarterback, Motts. Now, Point is looking at about 1st and 13 until midfield, and the ball is snapped actually to Caitlin Rayner here, who lets it rip downfield, but it cannot quite be brought in by the receiver, and now it's 2nd down. But a flag against Campbellsville will still yield a decent gain, and now it's 1st and 1 until midfield. And it's snapped to Rayner again, who sidesteps and lets it rip down the middle of the field, and it is caught by Maddie Motts here for the touchdown. That is a 41-yard touchdown score here. Just an absolute dot downfield to start the second half on the right foot for Point here. And on the 1-point attempt, Rayner jet motions in the backfield left to right, and the direct snap speed option right scores with Maddie Motts keeping it herself. It is now a 14-13 ball game for this contest here. Point with a big 41-yard pass play to start the second half here. And Caitlin Rayner, the freshman quarterback out of Noonan, Georgia here, lets that rip. And Motts, who had been at quarterback, on the reception here, keeping Campbellsville guessing. But the Campbellsville offense has something to say themselves as Knowles here finds Brownlee, who's just a yard shy of the first. Now there's a direct snap up the middle to Payne, who gets a first down, and her speed acts as great flag evading. Now there's a pass left to Harper here that is caught, but the flag is quickly pulled. I don't know where that accent came from. But then the next pass right is deflected by number 24 of Point, Alexandria Jackson. But a flag on the play against Point pushes Campbellsville within 4 yards of midfield and gives them a first down. Now, Knowles winds up and makes a big completion downfield to Harper, pushing the Tigers inside of the red zone all the way to the 15-yard line. Now, Presley Payne on the next play gets the ball, cuts left, and evades a few defenders only to be stopped about 2 yards shy of the end zone. Now, on second down, they toss right to Payne, who cuts up but is stopped what feels like inches away. And on third down, there's a direct snap that ends up on the turf. And now it's about 4th and 5 or 6, and Campbellsville gets ready to go for it. The Tigers pass towards the end zone, and it feels out of reach for the receiver, to me at least, but the refs do call a pass interference, and the Point sideline is letting them know with some very audible boos how much they disagree with the call. But regardless, Campbellsville ends up with a fresh set of downs, and they pass downfield, and this time I definitely agree with the defensive holding on the pass attempt that just pushes them half the distance to the goal once again. Now, they call a direct snap to 4, who scores, but there is another flag here. This one was against Point, and the penalty will be declined, keeping the touchdown for Campbellsville, and the PAT is good here as they go for 2 points, and Knowles finds one of her favorite targets, Beecher, here, and it is now 22-13, making this a 2-score game here with a little bit of time left in the third quarter. Now, Point, they come out with 2 incompletions to start the drive, and then a lateral pass is brought down for a loss by 3 for Campbellsville, setting up 4th down deep in their own territory. Well, they will be forced to punt. Now, Campbellsville will start on the inside of midfield after a nice bounce for them, starting on the 39-yard line heading in. A bad snap forces a quick pass to 18, who's brought down right back at the line, and then a pass left to number 1, that is Itzan Rojas Gibbs here, does pick up a first down and ends the third quarter. Now, Campbellsville starts the fourth quarter with an incompletion, and on 4th down, they throw right, and the pass is jumped and picked off by number 24, Alexandria Jackson here. And after the turnover, Point will start the ball with about 4 or 5 yards to go until about midfield. Now, Matty Motts sells a ball fake and then tucks and runs for about 10 yards and a first. On the first down play, Motts takes off for a decent gain here, and then on the next play, there's an incompletion on a miscommunication. Motts then steps back on the following play to pass, but then breaks right, and the Skyhawks are now inside the red zone about to the 15-yard line. They come out and run a jet sweep right to number 4, who picks up a few yards here. That is, once again, Nathan here on the gain. But the Tigers are looking close to key in on this Point rushing attack. But there's a pass right to number 24, Alexandria Jackson, who sprints ahead, setting up 3rd and 1 to the end zone. And Motts shovels it ahead to Hart here, who scores the touchdown and is now 19-22. I don't know how much time is left in the fourth quarter here, but they do dial up a 2-point play here with Caitlin Rayner finding Nathan for the 2-point conversion, making it a 1-point ball game, once again 21-22. But Point does need the ball back here, and Campbellsville does have a recipe here for trying to close this game and stomp it out here, getting the ball directly to Payne, who picks up about 4 yards, setting up 2nd and 1, and they call another direct snap to Payne, who narrowly picks up the first down. And Payne is definitely one of the best closers probably in the game here. But the Tigers do decide to throw here, but 13 for the Skyhawks gets the sack here. That is Esther Udo, the freshman here, getting a sack and pushing Campbellsville back for a loss of 6 or 7, setting up 2nd and 24. Now, on this next 2nd down, they call a pass play here, and that is an incompletion. I'm not sure how much time there is left and if they should be throwing here, but on 3rd and very long, they do settle for a handoff to JC Harper, who does actually try to pass, and it is nearly intercepted by number 24, but falls harmlessly to the grass, giving the Tigers a chance to punt. Now, Alexandria Jackson gets to return this punt and sets up Point inside Tiger territory with 1st and about 11 until the 20-yard line. And so Point actually has a chance to win this football game here down the stretch. Now Motts has a quick pass left to Leah Prather here, who picks up a few yards. Then Motts takes a shot left to number 3, but it is just out of reach here. And on 3rd down, Motts is moving left when she catches the snap and breaks ahead for the first down here. And Point is now in the red zone with a chance to win this football game. But on 1st down, a flag on the offense pushes them back to the 21-yard line. And it goes from bad to worse as number 2 for Campbellsville, that is Rojas Gibbs, gets a sack here, pushing them back here and making it about 2nd and 25 yards until the end zone. An incompletion now puts Point in a tough 3rd and 25, and Point will burn a timeout here. 14 comes in at quarterback and tries to rocket it over the middle, but the play is contested and heavily deflected by Angeline Beecher of Campbellsville. Now 4th down, the game is on the line. The snap is to Caitlin Rayner, who takes a shot down the right sideline where a Skyhawk ends up on the ground, and the pass is incomplete. And it looks like on the replay, the receiver ran into the defender hard enough to take some serious time and help to get downfield. But eventually, 7 does get helped off the field by a coach, and I want to say either an assistant coach or a trainer. I'm not sure where the flag is, but this seems like a pretty bad no call, and the officials have been a bit questionable this game. I will say overall it has benefited the Tigers a bit more, but that does result in a turnover on downs, and Campbellsville just runs the game out here. They do get a first down run, and Point burns some timeouts, but the Tigers will kneel it out and take the 1-point win, 22-21 over Point University here. I will say that Point finally looked like they got some things going. They set some program history as well. You know, Maddie Mott scored the first touchdown in program history on a 10-yard rushing touchdown. And then Alexandria Jackson and Maddie Motts were also the first two players in women's flag football history for Point to collect an interception. And then Alasia Nathan and Esther Udo enter program history, both recording flagpoles for losses and sacks. And Caitlin Rayner added the first passing touchdown for the program on that deep pass. So the Skyhawks take a lot of positives out of this game, a lot of program history, and they will take that against Keiser on Thursday, February 29th, 1:30 at River Bowl Stadium. Good luck to Point. I like where this program is trending. I like the athletes that they have. I think that you could just tell that they are a first-year program, and they're a bit raw here. And I think that there will be some improvements, and they will get a win this season. I'm very, very confident in that, pending their schedule, of course. But on the other side here, Campbellsville takes 3 wins with them into the weekend here, and that is just a great start for Campbellsville here. They are very high on my list. I think that last year you could tell that they were a bit raw, or my apologies, 2 wins against Milligan and Point. My apologies once again. But, you know, they get those 2 wins, and they're using their great playmakers to do so. Presley Payne is looking like one of the best running backs in the country, honestly. J.C. Harper is proving to be a difference maker here. And I think that Journey Knowles is showing some significant progress, being able to take some shots downfield. It helps that Angeline Beecher here is opening up those options. As a 6-foot target, she was definitely a mismatch at times for opposing cornerbacks and secondaries here. And so Campbellsville, I really like the balance that they could potentially have as a unit this season. And I am optimistic for both of these programs heading forward. But that is a Campbellsville W, 22-21. And my last recap here, I was not actually able to catch the game here, but it was Keiser's opening game against Florida Memorial. Doesn't look like too much to report here, as Keiser now is definitely the favorite of the Sun Conference here. Keiser ends up winning in Florida Memorial's home opener 53-0 here. And, you know, looking at the recap according to FMUathletics.com, it just sounds like FMU struggled to find their footing on offense, with all their drives ending in a punt or a turnover, and then the defense allowed Keiser to score on all but one of their drives. Junior quarterback Thamales Santos here led the Lions on multiple drives but failed to find the end zone, and threw 5 interceptions here. That Keiser defense showing that they are ready to lock in here. And, you know, FMU does get another chance. By the time you hear this, it would have been yesterday against St. Thomas here for the Battle of Miami Gardens. That is scheduled for 6 p.m. Eastern, so 4 p.m. Mountain Time for us. And this drops FMU to 0-2 on the season. Both those losses coming against Sun Conference opponents here. And then for Keiser, this was their first game of the season. They win big, and their next game is against Point University on Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. They follow that up with a Reinhardt Invitational here and a game against Reinhardt. So Keiser feeling pretty good to start their season, getting their season started a little bit later than some other teams, and Florida Memorial looking to find something positive to build off of against St. Thomas University before they hopefully get a break against the University of Fort Lauderdale here, who I want to say is on that JUCO level. And then we'll really see, I think, against Weber, where both these teams are. I think that that's going to be more of a proper litmus test for both squads. But Keiser wins big in their Sun Conference season opener against FMU, 53-0.
All right, one of our last games of the day here on February 24th, Saturday, is Milligan versus Campbellsville, playing in Georgia, by the way, Point hosting this one here. Milligan, number 12 here after week 1 going into this one. Also coming off a win over number 17 Point, 14-0 earlier in the day. So there you go there. And then we got Campbellsville, who was ranked or tied here at 14 with the University of St. Mary's before this game, looking to open their season here against the Buffaloes. So let's go ahead and hop into this one. Milligan, they would start with the ball here and get a good gain on first down, a handoff right to Destiny Johnson, who gives them just about 18 to set up a 1st and 18. But from there, they are not able to get too much going here. On 3rd and 17, their quarterback, Bridget Keiser, gets sacked by Annalise Beecher, the sophomore from Campbellsville, and so that forces a punt. Now, Campbellsville, they take over past midfield here with a new quarterback starting for them, it looks like, this season, in Journey Knowles. And so here is what happens. On 2nd and 10, Knowles would roll out right and find Annalise Beecher on the run, who makes it a nice 3rd and 1, but a false start on the offense makes it 3rd and 6. And so on 3rd down, Knowles rolls left and throws the slant to J.C. Harper, who makes a great catch and almost turns it upfield for a 1st down and maybe a touchdown even, but she loses her footing. She does get the 1st down, though. It's 1st and 5 in the red zone. After a quick check down to Tamaya Woody, it brings up 2nd and 3 here, where Knowles on the power option left gets maybe a yard. So that brings up 3rd and 2, where Knowles throws the out route just a little bit late here as the defender is there. But J.C. Harper posts up and makes an all-hands catch full extension to give the Tigers a 6-0 lead. A direct snap to Tamaya Woody on the PAT is stopped short, but a holding penalty is called against Milligan. So that'll move Campbellsville up here, and they will reattempt the PAT here, and they call the same thing a direct snap to Tamaya Woody, and she reaches across, gets it in to give them the 7-0 lead. Now Milligan, they take over on offense here, but they are struggling. A sweep left to Michaela Davis is stopped for a loss, which puts them in a tough hole, 2nd and 9 there, and they're not quite able to get out of it, so they go 3 and out. Campbellsville, they will take over once more after the punt past midfield here, but Campbellsville is just not quite able to really get anything going here. They are in a 4th and 6 situation, but unfortunately, a false start once again on Campbellsville will make it 4th and 11, and so they decide to punt it to go ahead and pin Milligan back here. And it's a good punt here because the punt is dropped, and so Milligan actually starts on the 1 of 1st and 19, backed up into their own end zone. Let's go ahead and fast forward a little bit here. 2nd and 14 after a nice curl route is thrown to Sarah Rancorn. It's 2nd and 14, and you have a dropped pass. On 3rd and 14, Bridget Keiser avoids the defender before throwing it off or throwing it over the middle, but it is off the mark here. So that brings up a 4th and 14 as the time in this first quarter runs down. And so that's where they are in the second quarter. Milligan punting it on 4th and 14. Campbellsville, they take over just before midfield, so a solid punt here. And then here's what's happening on 1st and 3. They go ahead and run a power option right, and Knowles pitches it to Presley Payne, who breaks free and gets a huge 1st down past midfield on a gain of 13, picking up where she left off last season. And so that brings up a 1st and 10 this time past midfield on that edge of that red zone. And Knowles rolls left and throws it. But the pass is popped up by a Campbellsville receiver who's not able to catch it and picked off by Ashton Weirley. And so here we go. Milligan takes over with a 1st and 1. They go ahead and pitch it to Michaela Davis, pitch it right, and she gets a nice 1st down for like 2 gains. So it's now 1st and 19. And on 1st and 19, Bridget Keiser checks it down to her center, Sam Urso, who makes it 2nd and 17. A hard count then forces an offsides on Campbellsville, so it's now 2nd and 12 for Milligan. And on 2nd down, Keiser throws a curl to Sarah Rancorn, who gets a nice gain, making it 3rd and 5. And on third down, Keiser throws the drag route to Urso, but she is stopped short by JC Harper. 4th and inches, though, near midfield. And so they go for it, and Bridget Keiser gets the snap here and drops back, knowing she only needs to get maybe a yard here, and has an open receiver deep in Caitlin Quinn and throws it here, but it is underthrown, and so the defender is able to catch up. It's tipped up and picked off by JC Harper. It's basically a punt, but in that situation, you just got to know, hey, you only need 1 yard. You need to extend this drive. So that's a tough one for them. Campbellsville taking over with a 1st and 4 for them. But after a false start and a dropped snap here, Campbellsville is eventually forced to punt it. And so Milligan, they take over here with a nice 1st and 13, but a false start on Milligan, that is, will make it a 1st and 18. So here we go, 1st down. Keiser throws the curl to Ashton Weirley, who gets a good gain after the catch, but a flag is thrown for flag guarding. So now it's 2nd and 12. And on that, there's an incompletion, so let's go to 3rd and 12 here. The 2-minute warning hits here in the 2nd quarter, and then here's what happens. Keiser throws the post on a rope to Ashton Weirley, who gets a great gain past midfield. 1st and 12 here. Following that, Keiser scrambles for a couple, but a penalty is thrown against Campbellsville for holding, so now it's 1st and inches. And on that 1st down, Keiser throws it to Ursa on the check, but it's dropped. So on 2nd down, Keiser checks it down to Michaela Davis, who gets a huge gain, but a penalty is thrown on Milligan once more. So now it's 2nd and 5. And on that 2nd down, Keiser throws the curl to Weirley over the middle, who does get them the 1st down finally, putting them in the red zone. So now it's 1st and 20. Timeout is called by Milligan here, though, first of the half. Coming out of the timeout, Keiser throws it to Urso on another drag route, who gets a good gain for about 10. So now it's 2nd down here, 2nd and 10. And on that down, Keiser rolls left and finds Abilene Laprice, who gets another catch and makes it 3rd and 4. A timeout is called by Campbellsville here so that they could gather their defense and regroup. 2nd of the half here. And so out of that timeout, 3rd and 4, Keiser rolls right and throws the drag, but it is too low, so it's incomplete. And so now it's 4th and 4 here. Milligan calling their 2nd timeout to talk about this. And then here's what happens. Keiser rolls right and has an open Sarah Rancorn. She throws it on the drag route, but it is dropped. She would have had a touchdown if she caught this one. So that's a turnover on downs. And then on the next play, Campbellsville takes a knee to go into the half with a 7-0 lead over Milligan. On top of that, Campbellsville also gets the ball at the start of the 3rd quarter, but they are not quite able to get anything going here. On 3rd and 5, Knowles rolls right before trying to scramble and reaches the ball out, but it is knocked out and she is stopped short, so it's 4th and 1, and Campbellsville is forced to punt it as they go 3 and out. Now Milligan, they take over past midfield, and here's what happens. It's a 1st and 13. They hand it off right to Destiny Johnson, who gets the corner in a couple of yards, so now it's 2nd and 6. They hand it off again, this time left to Michaela Davis, who gets some good yards. So now it's 3rd and 1. And on 3rd down, Keiser with the QB design run, it looks like, makes it and gets the 1st down. A 1st and 20 here in the red zone, another red zone trip. On 1st down, they run a play action pass here and throw it over the middle to Blakely Ollis for about 5, so it's 2nd and 15. And then on this next play, Keiser, evades one rusher before launching one into the end zone, but this one is well defended, so it's incomplete. So now it's 3rd and 15. And on 3rd down, Keiser throws it over the middle, but it is off the mark. She had an open receiver, but just incomplete there. So now it's 4th and 15, looking to make the most out of this trip. And so here we go. Keiser rolls out left and has an open receiver in Sarah Rancorn near the left corner of the end zone and throws it. But once again, the pass goes through her hand, so another would-be touchdown is dropped. So that is a turnover on downs. Campbellsville, they get it, but a big sack by Destiny Johnson, as well as a high snap that is dropped, will eventually force a 3 and out. And so Milligan, they take over here, but not quite able to get really much going here. They do get a 1st on a handoff left to Destiny Johnson, But from there, first off, once more in the red zone, and once again aren't able to get too much going here. Unfortunately, a snap goes through Keiser's hands. It wasn't a bad snap. She just drops it, it looks like. So now it's 3rd and 19. Add on another false start on Milligan a play later on 4th down. And so it's 4th and 24. And on 4th down, Keiser evades the rusher and throws it, but it is a knockdown. So that's a turnover on downs. Yet another Milligan red zone trip. Their 3rd straight one where they are not able to get any points here. So there you go there. Now Campbellsville, near the end of this quarter, they're just trying to run it out, and so they pitch it left to Presley Payne, who breaks the ankles of a defender, just dropping her, and reverses fields here, gets a nice block in my opinion, but a flag is thrown there, and gets a huge gain of about 20 plus yards as the quarter ends. But like I said, a flag was thrown on that would-be block. I thought her feet was set. The refs didn't agree. So now it's 1st and 19, and that's where we pick up here in the 4th quarter. 1st and 19, and they go ahead and put in Olivia Knopfsinger to, run some of this clock out here, and she does just that. Does get them in a 4th and 4 situation here, but by this point, Campbellsville just decides to punt it. And so Milligan, and it's a good decision because Milligan basically takes over near their own red zone. It was a great punt here. So 1st and 16. And on 1st down, it's dropped. On 2nd down, Keiser rolls left and then makes a bad decision. Just throws across her body, and Annalise Beecher makes her pay for that with an interception and returns it to the house for a pick 6 to give Campbellsville the 13-0 lead. On the PAT, they direct snap it to Presley Payne, who bounces it outside left and gets the corner, making it 14-0 here in the 4th quarter. So Milligan looking to bounce back here. They make a change at quarterback, and so Abilene Laprice is now in at quarterback. On the direct snap, she just runs it and gets close to the 1st, so it's 2nd and inches, about a gain of 6. And then on 2nd down, Laprice, once again on the direct snap, takes off left downfield and gets a huge gain here of almost 18, 19 yards. So now it's 1st and 2 near midfield. Then there's a dropped handoff, which I think was just a miscommunication, so now it's 2nd and 6. And then on 2nd down, Laprice with another snap here. She runs right for the 1st down and more past the midfield. So now it's 1st and 10 here. Some big runs by Laprice here. And then she hands it off left to Destiny Johnson, who gets maybe a yard. And on 2nd and 9 here, Laprice under pressure throws it away, so an incompletion there. And so that brings up a big 3rd and 9 here, where Laprice rolls right and throws it. It is deflected back into her hands, so she catches her own pass, and she takes off, almost getting the 1st down, but not quite getting there. It's 4th and 1. Campbellsville, they called their last timeout right here, right before this 4th down play. All right, so 4th and 1 coming out of the timeout. They go ahead and call a read option here, and they get the 1st down. Laprice gets that 1st down, that is, putting them in the red zone. So now it's 1st and 20, and Bridget Keiser comes back in. It looks like she has a bandage on her leg, so maybe that was the issue there. But she's back in. And here's what happens. She rolls left and almost throws another pick. But it's incomplete though. So it brings up 2nd and 20, and she hands it off to Destiny Johnson, who gets a couple more yards. So now it's 3rd and 15 here on a 5-yard gain. And then on 3rd down, Keiser pumps it before trying to go over the middle, and it is deflected. So now it's 4th and 15. And then here's what happens. Keiser rolls left and finds someone deep. And that's Ashton Worley in the end zone. A nice pass here and a touchdown to cut into the lead 14-6 here. On the PAT, they throw the fade route, but it is just slightly off the mark here. And it's great coverage too. So the PAT is no good. So here we go, 14-6 here, as it is now a 1-score game. Now Campbellsville, they take over here, and they're just trying to run out the clock, but this Milligan defense stands strong, gets them in a 4th and 9 situation, forcing Campbellsville to punt it, and I believe Milligan calls their 2nd timeout before the punt here. So there you go there. And also the 2-minute warning passes by as well. So under 2 minutes with a timeout left, Milligan, they field it here, and there's a couple pitches and one of the players gets open, but a penalty is thrown, but then it's waived, which is interesting. So it's 1st and 17 here. I don't know if that was a missed call or not. I'm just going to be honest there. But anyways, 1st and 17, Keiser gets the snap, throws it over the middle to Ursa, who scoots forward for a couple more, a nice gain of 10, so 2nd and 7. And then on this play, Keiser throws the crow to Sarah Rancorn, who gets out of bounds, which is important because that stops the clock. And it's 3rd and 1 here near midfield. After an incompletion on 3rd down, we have a 4th and 1 here, a key 4th down play, where Keiser gets a snap and scrambles left, getting a good chunk of yards here. She actually cuts it up and gets a good chunk of yards as this Campbellsville defense misses some flagpoles here. So now it's 1st and 5 past midfield on a huge scramble. And on 1st down, Keiser throws deep down the left sideline, but it looks like the receiver stopped running, and so it's incomplete there. 2nd and 5 here. A little bit of a late whistle here before they run the play, and it's like the middle of the play, but they call or they whistle it dead, and then they say it's a false start on Milligan. So now it's 2nd and 10 here. And on 2nd down, Keiser throws the out to Caitlin Quinn, who gets out of bounds and gets a couple more yards, gain of 6 here. So now it's 3rd and 4. And then on this play, Keiser throws a crow to Ashton Worley, who was stopped just short of the 1st down, 4th and 1 here. But it doesn't matter, as on 4th down, Keiser throws to the flat here to Ashton Worley, who does get the 1st down and also gets out of bounds as well. So here we go. Milligan in the red zone, 4 plays. They've used some of the clock here and whatnot, but they're just trying to manage it. Either way, what you can't do is take a sack here or really get stopped over the middle. If you do, then you got to get a play off pretty quickly here. So got to have some good situational awareness, and it comes down to this drive. 1st and 18, Keiser drops back, throws it deep down the left sideline, but it is just thrown slightly off the mark and out of bounds too. So now it's 2nd and 18, and on 2nd down, Keiser drops back here and throws it deep down the left sideline again, but once more it is overthrown. So that brings up 3rd and 18 here. And on 3rd down, Keiser tries to throw it over the middle, deep that is, trying to put one in the end zone, and it looks like to be picked off by Angeline Beecher, but on the way down she drops it. And so that's a key pick that she definitely dropped there. And so they get one more shot at this here. 4th and 18. Here we go. Milligan's Bridget Keiser drops back and throws it down the left sideline. This time she has a receiver in 101. It looks to be on the money, just out of reach of the defender's hands. And Ashton Weirley, unfortunately, drops it. Just not quite able to make the full extension catch here. It would have been a tough catch to make. It was just out of reach. But unfortunately, another drop in the red zone, the 3rd of the day. And so just like that, Campbellsville wins 14-6 here. Player of the game had to be Annalise Beecher. In my opinion, that pick 6 would end up winning them this game here. And she made plenty of other big plays on defense there. So there you go. Now let me just talk about this one. So Milligan, they had their chances. They had like 4 red zone trips where they got nothing. And 3 of those, including this last play here, were plays where the receiver just dropped it. They had an open touchdown here, or a would-be touchdown play, and they just couldn't make the catch. And so those are all missed opportunities there. They had 1 red zone trip out of that 4 where it was just incomplete. It was deflected, and it is what it is, right? But you can't have that many drops in the red zone. And they weren't dropping it too many times outside of the red zone either. So that's definitely a tough pill to swallow there, because it just felt like whenever they got into the red zone, the drops just started happening. And, it's tough, but it is their 2nd game ever. And with that being said, they left plenty of opportunities on the board, not only to win this game, but to win by maybe even 2 or potentially 3 scores, as the defense did play pretty well here. And so that's tough for Milligan, but you got to learn from it. This is still a pretty young squad here. You got to remember that a lot of them did not play college flag football last season since this program was on hiatus, and so you're still working out some kinks here. It's very early on in the season. They will probably be fine, but this is one that they look back at and they will say that they should have won it. So that's a tough one for them. For Campbellsville, they played very good football. Defense played well here. Offensively, they're getting some pretty good production here, against a tough Milligan squad. And so I'm happy with that. Their quarterback, Journey Knowles, I thought, played a pretty solid game, not doing too much here, especially since it was her first start too. So gotta love that. And then, you had the players from last year, Annalise Beecher, J.C. Harper, Presley Payne, who were just making big play after big play out here, doing a good job for this Campbellsville team and gritting out a tough win here. To have that many red zone trips where they aren't able to score. Part of that is because the defense put them in some tough situations and put the pressure on them. They got them to those fourth down situations, a lot of fourth and long situations. And so you got to respect that out of this Campbellsville team, who does look, they looked more experienced than Milligan here, which was expected, but this was a very good game here. This will be an interesting matchup, but maybe a potential interesting rivalry to look out for moving forward, as they did play in the fall, and Milligan won pretty big, if I remember correctly. So there you go. There, obviously, that's not on the record. That's considered a preseason scrimmage, but as players, you definitely remember that. So loved seeing Campbellsville respond here and play very well, winning another close one. For Milligan, this was one that got away from them, but you just kind of hope that they learn from it. Final score, like I said, Campbellsville wins this one 14-6. All right, now let's go ahead and get to Playmaker of the Week. We had a bunch of different candidates from a bunch of different games this week, but this Playmaker of the Week, as usual, is brought to you by Code Red Coaching. Make sure you check them out at coderedcoaching.com or call 720-979-1914. That's 720-979-1914. Or just go to coderedcoaching.com. I believe also their social media handle is Code Red Coaching too. So there you go there. But let's talk about the candidates first for Playmaker of the Week, and then I'll announce the Week 2 Playmaker of the Week at the very end. But one of them is Madison Carrera. Played extremely well here against Baker. Went for 245 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, 30 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown, that is. So there you go there. In the Southwestern versus Cottey game, Miranda Dooley, their quarterback, has to be their player of the game here. That is going to be a candidate for Playmaker of the Week. Southwestern was down 19-7 in their first game away, by the way, at Cottey, and Miranda Dooley had a hand in every single one of those touchdowns to win 32-25. So absolutely sensational there. So already a big time candidate after that first game here. Moving on here to Warner versus Florida Memorial. Shay Crooks was the player of that game. I believe she had 4 big time touchdowns that I was able to count there. Absolutely lighting it up there. Now in the Saturday games, a lot of different players here, so I'm just going to name off a whole bunch of them. Milligan versus Point. Player of that game was Abilene Laprice. A lot of key deflections and picks in the second half to give Milligan some struggles. In that Midland versus Ottawa game, once again, Madison Carrera was on top of it there, so she obviously won it. In the Southwestern versus St. Mary game, Viviana Solis, she had 2 interceptions that I saw at least in that game, and that was big time there. Then we have 13 Baker versus Cottey. Sanaya Waller, the quarterback for Baker, was on fire that game, so obvious one there. And then Milligan versus Campbellsville, which is a tough one, I'm not going to lie. But the player of that game is Annalise Beecher, who had a pick 6, I think, in the third quarter, which ended up sealing that game. So there you go there. Just a couple of different playmakers I wanted to shout out. But I think this week it was pretty obvious who the Week 2 Playmaker of the Week is. Presented to you by Code Red Coaching, by the way. And that is Southwestern's freshman quarterback, Miranda Dooley, leading that effort versus Cottey in their first game in program history, by the way. And coming back from down 19-7 and then winning another game against St. Mary to start 2-0 here. A great start for the Southwestern team. That's big time, and so she is our Playmaker of the Week. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about our power rankings here, just so that everyone at home knows how we do them. Let me go over our process. So myself, Kodey, and Gino, we rank these teams 1 through 20 individually, so we have different rankings for those pretty much. And then if you're ranked at number 1, you get 20 points, 2, 19, 3, 18, so forth and so forth there. And then we basically add up the points from all 3 of our individual rankings here for each and every team. And then, the teams with the most points are at number 1, 2, 3, and 4, and so on. So that's how that goes. And so if you see any ties, it's because, the amount of points were pretty much the same. So with that being said, let me talk about last week's rankings, week 1 here. This is what we had. At 20 was Bethel, 19 Graceland, 18 Life, 17 points, 16 Southwestern. Tied for 14th was Campbellsville and St. Mary, 13 Baker, 12 Milligan. Tied for 10th was Cottey and Reinhardt, 9 Midland, 8 Florida Memorial, 7 Weber, 6 Kansas Wesleyan, 5 Warner, 4 Thomas, 3 Keiser, 2 St. Thomas, and at number 1 is Ottawa. Now, our week 2 rankings are pretty different. This is actually the most movement we've ever had in our power rankings. And so as I talk about each team here, I'm going to make sure to mention things that Kodey and Gino wanted me to say about those squads and quotes and stuff that they had about teams that may be moving up or down. Now at 20 is Bethel. They have had a bunch of postponements, so they have not played yet. At 19 is Graceland. Kodey said basically the same thing. He said mainly are just bumped back by other teams playing games, so we can't rank them, and they're already ranked pretty low until you start playing some games. And so everyone else in the country, all 18 other teams here in the country, have played at least once these last 2 weeks, except for those 2. So there you go there. Now, at 18 is the University of St. Mary here. This is what Kodey had to say about USM. He said, this program just cannot seem to catch a break, and I'm not going to give them one here in the power rankings. Gino says this about the Spires. The losses keep getting worse for the Spires. The only thing keeping them above 18 at this point is their week 1 game against Baker. Obviously, that's a game where they lost a close one, but still kept it pretty close there. Still losing, though, as they haven't won a game this season yet. And yeah, gotta agree there. This team has not looked great on offense. There's been a lot of struggles over there. Defensively, they've looked pretty good at times, but offensively, there's definitely something going on there that's not productive in helping them win games. And so we'll see if they figure it out, but they have played, I want to say 2 or 3 games by this point. So I don't know. Now at 17 is Point here. They neither move up or down, but this is what Kodey had to say about them. He said the growth that Point showed over this opening weekend, along with how talented this roster seems to be, makes me think they can crack top 15 eventually, but way too many mistakes and penalties will keep them out of the win column if they don't fix it. Gino said Point almost beat Campbellsville, which is awesome, but that offense is a real concern for me after seeing them play. And yeah, I have to agree. Point had kind of a rough first go here this weekend, but they got better. every single game, especially in those Saturday games there. I really liked how they competed in. So we'll see what happens with them here as the season progresses. But, I do like what I see. I like their 2 quarterbacks that they have over there in Maddie Motts and Caitlin Rayner. I think both of them are pretty quality, and a lot of other teams could definitely use the quarterbacks that they have. So we'll see. But there's definitely room for them to move up. Speaking of moving up, at 16, we have Life, who moves just ahead of them, Life University. This is what Kodey had to say. He said they won their opening game, and I thought they were fairly competitive against Reinhardt. This team is very raw, however, and I think more experienced teams will feast on them throughout the season. Gino had this to say about Life. He said Life showed some promising flashes against Point, and they got the shutout win there, but I can't put them much higher than 16 until I see what they can do against other conference opponents here, or more conference opponents there. So, yeah, there you go there. But Life still moving up a spot here compared to last week. Now, the next 4 teams we're going to talk about are all teams who have fallen here lower in the rankings, starting with number 15, that is Cottey. Gino says this about Cottey. He said that defense is a real concern for the Comets. They've put up 25 plus in both their games, but they've given up 32 and 52 in both those games as well. They're going to be down here at 15 until they can prove they can hold an opponent to a respectable score. 15 according to his personal ranking, that is. But Kodey also has them at 15. He said blowing the lead they had and then struggling the way they did in that second game this week has me really worried for the Comets here, who I thought were sure to turn some kind of corner this season. Yeah, I did think the offense was going to be better than what it was. I know the defense has to play better for sure. They haven't played, I feel like, as well as they did last year. But offensively, they've struggled. I think they've had too many 3-and-outs, especially in that Baker game. That game, obviously they scored 20 plus, but it was all in the second half when the game was pretty much already over there already. And so, I don't know. They got to wake up here a little bit because the season has started. And, they technically have a win, but it was a forfeit that they got over Bethel, who is also last in our rankings. So hopefully they can figure it out and stop this free fall here. But for now, they are falling from 10th here, tied for 10th, to 15. Another team who is falling, not that badly though, but, just a couple, I think 2 spots here. That is number 14, Milligan here. This is what Kodey had to say about Milligan. Milligan just feels like they have left too many points on the field from these past games to really justify moving them up. But if they can start executing, this is a top 10 team. So some positive praise from Kodey. This is what Gino said. He said, I got to drop Milligan a spot after that loss to Campbellsville and only beating Point here by 8. They are struggling to get points on the board despite plenty of promising drives, so they just need to execute before I can see them as a top 10 team. Now, I think we all agree here that they have top 10 potential. This was a good squad, in that Point game. It was their first game of the season. They could have played better, right? They definitely could have played better to win by a lot more. I felt like they should have won by a lot more. And then against Campbellsville, too many drops in not just the red zone, but the end zone. And it wasn't like these drops were happening all over the field. It was almost literally just in the end zone. And that's really frustrating. And I get bad games happen, but it does cost them a couple of spots here. And so that's why we're moving them down. We do like the talent they have. There are some very interesting players over there like Bridget Keiser, Sarah Rancorn, Caitlin Quinn, just to name a handful there who played really well and impressed. But they got to put it all together moving forward here. And so the first 2 games, still figuring some stuff out, like I said. And on top of that, it's worth noting that they were on hiatus last year, so they're trying to get back into the swing of things, but looked pretty competitive here, which you gotta like, and so we'll see what happens with them. Now at 13 is Florida Memorial, who's dropping 5 spots here for us, which is a lot. This is what Gino had to say about Flomo. He said not only are they 0-2, but they are also getting absolutely ripped apart in both of those losses. They dropped 5 spots in my rankings for that very reason. Kodey had this to say about Flomo. He said, ouch, 0-2 start and a real thumping lands you here, which is 14 in Kodey's personal rankings. So there you go. And in our PMC rankings, Florida Memorial was at 13 there. The Keiser loss was pretty bad. I don't know. I knew they weren't going to beat Keiser, but you got to score points or something, and not just, get scored on by 50. That's a tough pill to swallow. And obviously that team is very good, but I think there are other teams that could score against Keiser in that scenario. And they just didn't. On top of that, they also allowed 50-plus points. So, yeah. Now, at 12 is Reinhardt here, which is, they're moving down 2 spots, which isn't a lot. Let me go ahead and say what Kodey was going to say here about Reinhardt, who he has at 7. He said in their opening game, this squad looked dynamic and full of playmakers. This may be way too high initially, but I'm excited to see what this squad is made of. Gino had this to say about Reinhardt, who he has at 12. He said, a good 1-0 start and a nice win over Life is awesome, but they still fall a spot in my rankings after the week Baker and Campbellsville just had. And yeah, that is pretty much the same with me here. I had Reinhardt at 13 last week. I had Reinhardt at 12 last week. Now they are at 13. And so that does drop them just a little bit here. But the teams ahead of them have played really good football, and so you got to respect it. So let's talk about some of those teams ahead, starting with Baker here, who now enters the top 10, who is, by the way, tied for 10. They're not just the only ones at 10, but they move up 3 spots from 13. This is what Kodey had to say about Baker. He said, while they do have 1 loss to the top dog in Ottawa, Baker has been a pleasant surprise and a gift that I think will keep on giving heading forward. This is what Gino said about Baker. Baker bounced back with a nice blowout over Cottey. They are very well coached and have proved to be a top team here early in the season. And yeah, gotta agree. I think the Cottey game was the one that really sold us all on Baker, especially following this last week, because they didn't just win here. They won pretty big. They won by a lot. And the score, I think, doesn't tell you how not close that game was. So there you go, and you got to keep in mind that's a first-year program going against a basically third or fourth-year program with a lot of third-year and second-year players on that squad. So gotta love it. They play good football out there, and we'll see them continue to keep it rolling. And then it gets Ottawa. They're Ottawa, so it's not like the biggest deal. And they were at least able to score too. So that does matter in this case. And so that's why Baker is here in our top 10. But sharing a spot in our top 10 with Campbellsville, who has moved up from 14th to 10th. This is what Kodey had to say about Campbellsville, who he has at 8. He said, the passing game is significantly further along than it was last season, and Presley Payne is still one of the most dynamic athletes in the country, starting the Tigers season off strong. Gino had this to say about Campbellsville, who he has at 11 personally. He said that 2-0 start is great, and they've shown that they can win close games. Barely beating point is a bit concerning, but I can't ignore the 2-0 start to start the season. For that reason, the Tigers move up 4 spots in his rankings. And yeah, Campbellsville, for me personally, moved up, I want to say 2 spots for me. They played good football, and Kodey is right. Their offense does look a little bit more balanced, Journey Knowles had quarterback. I thought played pretty good in the game that I saw and covered and recapped there. I thought she played good football and really helped balance this thing out. Obviously, you got Presley Payne, who's going to go out there and do her thing, but things open up when you're also able to throw it a little bit more efficiently there. Also, just side note here, really want to say Annalise Beecher and JC Harper playing great games, and this team's pretty deep. That development aspect that I talked about in their season preview, it looks like they've all taken pretty good steps forward here, and so this team is a top 10 team, or is a top 10 caliber team in my opinion. And so love that they are moving up here and starting strong with some good wins. Now, moving on here, we have two teams tied for 8th. One of them is another new one in Southwestern, who is moving up 8 spots here. This is what Kodey had to say about Southwestern, who he has at 9. He said, after a crazy comeback to start their program history, they turn in a strong defensive performance to remain undefeated and catapult into my 9th spot. Gino had this to say about Southwestern, who's in his 8th spot. He said, that's right, the Mound Builders have moved comfortably into my top 10 this week after what I saw against Cottey and them getting another commanding win over St. Mary. They are the real threat. They are a real threat in the KCAC. And, I got to agree. I think the Cottey win, more so than anything, them being able to come back from down 2 scores in the first half and just score a bunch in the second, that says a lot about their mentality and the players they have over there. Miranda Dooley, who is our Playmaker of the Week, has played extremely good football here. She throws a beautiful deep ball and is pretty mobile as well. And then Viviana Solis has made some huge plays for them as their primary playmaker. And then everyone else has done very good here. And so I'm really excited to see this team play moving forward. I will say this, they are a little bit thin, I would say. I don't think I actually have Southwestern in my top 10. I think they are just outside. So I am a little concerned about that. And, the wins they've had are against Cottey and St. Mary, who are all ranked below 14 here, at least this week. And so we'll see what happens moving forward with them. But some nice, impressive wins here for Southwestern. Tied at 8th is Midland, who technically moves up here. They were at 9 and now they're at 8, but they are tied here at 8. Kodey has Midland at 12 personally. He said, not exactly the way you want to start the season, but I give them some benefit here and of the others for the fact that they were able to at least score. So there you go. Gino had this to say about Midland. Getting blown up by Ottawa is obviously not an ideal way to start the season, but I'm going to wait and see how they play against some other opponents before I can truly decide if they are a top 10 team or not. They only drop 1 spot for me in the mid-time. And yeah, they've only played 1 game. And we'll see. It's 1 game against Ottawa. Nobody has played Ottawa close yet, and I don't expect anybody to really do that here in the conference. And so Midland is right here tied for 8th, but they're definitely possibly on the cusp of dropping out. Now, moving on here, we have number 7 Weber and number 6 Kansas Wesleyan, who did not play this week, so we don't really have anything to say there. This is what Kodey had to say, though. I'm gonna mention this. I don't have anything to say, but he actually dropped Weber. He said no action for the Warriors ever since the season opener, but we will see if some time off is their benefit as their conference just looks tougher and tougher. Kodey dropping Weber from 7 to 13 in his rankings. And then with Kansas Wesleyan, who he has at 6 and stays at 6, he said a canceled game and a weak Midland performance in their opener should have K-Dub excited for their next game and well rested. So there you go there. Gino did not say anything about either of those teams either. And so we're just going to keep moving on here and talk about our number 5 team. It is St. Thomas, who drops from 2 to 5, losing a tough one to Warner. This is what Kodey had to say about St. Thomas. He said, after getting blanked, there are some concerns for the Bobcats, but it is just 1 game, and I want to see how this offense does before dropping them further. Gino had this to say about St. Thomas. Getting shut out against a conference opponent to start the year is enough for me to take St. Thomas out of my top 3. And yeah, I agree. I think this offense is too talented to get shut out like that. But, hey, it happens, right? And Warner, they're a good team over there. They played good football. They are playing really good football. But with the amount of weapons and senior leadership you have over there, there's really no excuses at this point. And so it wasn't a blowout. But against other teams in the top 5, you got to compete a little bit better. So there you go. At number 4 is Thomas here. Kodey said this about Thomas. He said the Nighthawks are technically 2-1 right now. Now, I'll keep them in this spot, but I'm worried that they did not dominate Florida Gateway and wonder if youth might be an issue for this squad. Gino did not say anything about Thomas. I'm not concerned about them. Florida Gateway is a fine program. They recruit well. Also a junior college, by the way. So they're not in our NAIA rankings for those obvious reasons there. And, they also, I'm pretty sure, won the chip last year, the junior college national championship last year. So it's a quality team, and I think it's a quality win. I mean, we're not going to move them up because they didn't play a NAIA team, though. And there are other teams ahead that are also playing just really good football, too. And speaking of those teams, one of them is Warner, who beat Thomas last week. They now move up to number 3. This is what Kodey had to say about Warner. He said, after beating both St. Thomas and Thomas behind absurd defensive efforts, this Royals team looks great, and I think that their offense is still blossoming. Now, this is what Gino had to say about Warner. He said, Warner is scary, man. They only gave up 7 to Thomas last week and shut out St. Thomas this week, plus a commanding win over Florida Memorial. They're easily a top 3 team in the country with these wins over conference opponents. And yeah, I gotta agree. I think at this point, first off, they've played the toughest schedule so far, which is, only through 2 weeks, but they have played the toughest schedule so far out of anyone in the country. I think they are past the dark horse label. They're definitely a contender. If they could continue to stay healthy and whatnot, they got some great ball players out there, and they're just going to continue to improve. Offensively, I do agree with Kodey. They're still blossoming. I think there are some plays and points that might be left on the board and on the field out there. But, they've improved week by week, and I think that's what matters here. And, I think they have a pretty good shot at continuing to move up, considering they will play the number 2 team here eventually, and that's Keiser. Keiser now moving up to that number 2 spot, previously number 3. This is what Kodey had to say about them. Another top dog who took care of business against an in-conference opponent. Gino says a 50-piece against a team I had in the top 10 is one hell of a way to start this year for Keiser. Easily a top 3 team here through week 2. Yeah, the hype is real for Keiser. I thought maybe I was a little hesitant because of the coaching change, or I guess not like a big coaching change, but, their interim head coach now being Samantha Harris now being their interim head coach instead of Justin Hilliker and stuff like that. Like, I was definitely worried about that. But they have a lot of talent over there, and they showed it. And through one game, there's no reason to not feel pretty good about them. We'll see what happens moving forward, but with them being at 1-0 and other teams losing and whatnot, I feel good about them being here at 2. And I wouldn't be surprised if Warner maybe moves up here over Keiser because of strength of schedule here soon, as we do head into our 3rd slate of games. But at number 1 is Ottawa. They're undefeated. Kodey says the Braves showed 8-0 change, and they're still a team to beat after bludgeoning Midland, also beating Baker. Gino says this, the bludgeoning, y'all are using that word a lot. But anyways, he says the bludgeoning of another opponent solidifies Ottawa's number 1 ranking. I don't expect this to change anytime soon. And yeah, same. In the season preview, I said I don't think they're going to lose to anybody in conference. Yeah, we'll just have to see what happens here, I guess. But they've looked extremely strong while also not even getting all their weapons as involved as they can. And they have so many, so it's really hard to do that. But if you really want to get into a shootout with them, they'll get into a shootout. This offense is number 1 in the country for a reason. So there you go there. Those are our week 2 rankings. Once more, at number 20 is Bethel, 19 Graceland, 18 St. Mary's, 17 Point, 16 Life, 15 Cottey, 14 Milligan, 13 Florida Memorial, 12 Reinhardt. Tied for 10th is Baker and Campbellsville. Tied for 8th is Southwestern and Midland. 7 Weber, 6 Kansas Wesleyan, 5 St. Thomas, 4 Thomas, 3 Warner, 2 Keiser, and at number 1, per usual, is Ottawa. All right, there you go. A huge episode here, but we want to talk about as many teams and games as possible. So if you have, listened all the way through, thank you for rocking with us. And if you want to know when the next recap will drop, well, it'll probably be next Tuesday. But if you want to know specifically, go ahead and check out our social media at Playmakers Corner on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter /X, and TikTok as well. Show some love over there. Follow us, subscribe, all that great stuff. Episodes are also coming out on YouTube and anywhere you can listen to podcasts. So if you are listening, go ahead and leave us a comment, review, all that stuff. We really appreciate it. And with that being said, that'll be it. Until next week, we will catch you later.